right, we got another exciting show teed up for you guys. We're live not only on Rocky Miller channel, but we also live on Off Script. So again, I want to always thank you guys for tuning in. You could be anywhere in the world, guys, but you're right here with us. So I want to thank you guys for that as we go on this HBCU journey together, man. We got a long off season of football left, man. I want to welcome everybody to HBCU Coaches Corner. I am Rocky, your co-host, along with my man, the Rattler himself, the Bishop, the Detective, none other than Stephen Campbell. Also, we got our featured host, the incomparable, the legendary Johnny Cole. Coach Cole, why didn't you have a nickname coming like Johnny Pistol Cole or Johnny? How come you didn't have a nickname, Coach?
Well, I didn't have a pistol, but no, they used to call me and my wide receiver CC and Connections, Cole the Cobra. And then in high school, I had a wide receiver we used to connect. They used to call us the Bubblegum Connection.
Okay,
so,
okay. Okay, so you didn't get a name like the Satellite?
Nah.
But you guys do have a moniker, but you can't own it, Coach. It's called Cold Blooded. That's a moniker, but that's more of a family moniker, isn't it?
Right.
That isn't an individual thing, man.
Yeah.
But Coach Cole, I want to thank you for coming on, man. Hey, and you're on time tonight, right? You didn't have any previous engagements that held you up, and I want to thank you for being on with us.
But I know that man up in the corner there, Coach Campbell, he about business. And he'll let me know, you know, everybody know. So, hey, I aim to please, Coach, because I appreciate y'all too and what y'all doing. Y'all take y'all time. So if y'all going to be taking out your time of the day, then I should be on time.
Man, we want to thank you. Hey, you know what? Somebody told me I was at my mama's house. Me and my mama was just talking. And guess what she told me? Now, how she know everything, I don't know. She say, Steve's birthday next week. Did you wish him? You gonna wish him a happy birthday? I said, huh? I'm like, how you know Steve's birthday next week, Mama?
Oh, he a big man now. He a topic, Coach.
So tell me about this birthday, Steve. It kind of snuck up on me, but my mama informed me. So what's going on? I didn't know you were an Aquarius, Steve.
Yes, sir. Last day of Aquarius, February 18th. 55 years young. 55 years.
Hey man, I wanna absolutely wish you a happy birthday, brother. We are fellow Aquariuses, born in the exact same year, only about 600 miles apart, though.
How about that?
Yeah. No, you were born in DC, correct?
Yep, I was. DC.
It was quite a few more miles in there. Yeah. Quite a few more miles in there. So everybody, let's take a moment out in the chat. Since you're in the chat, let's give Steve some happy birthday wishes. Right? It don't cost you nothing, but I'm sure he got a cash out if you're so inclined.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something funny, Rocky. Me, you, and Coach E. Rob, that's another 88 guy. You know what I'm saying? So this should be his double nickel year also. So,
absolutely.
Coming up there, kind of catch up with Coach Cole. But so now, man, we appreciate it, man. And see, y'all should know that my special friend made sure I got back on time to do the show. She said, Steve, she took me out early, and she made sure I got back to be in front of this video to make sure, because she knew how important this was. So
Steve, I gotta ask you, how did my mama know your birthday was today, man?
Well, listen, I listen, mamas pay attention to things. And I think I mentioned last week that this week I would be 55. So I think she probably is a great listener. Thank you, Mama. Appreciate it. And wish me a happy birthday. So, like I say, man, mothers pay attention to those things.
Okay. And I can guarantee you she's listening right now. So Mama, you were right, Mama. I'll just say that. Because I didn't say she was wrong.
Hey, Blue, let me tell you something. The good thing about it, when you have a birthday like mine, is parked at the airport parking lot. So actually, there's no miles put on in the whole week. So it's been sitting for a whole week. So I'm in good shape. I'm in good shape. Got to keep the miles down on it so I can keep that warranty on it.
Oh man!
All right, Coach. Well, let me ask you, Coach Cole, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great, man. You know, a lot of things is happening in your life, and you know, outside of football, and you know, I'm getting around and making sure my health is great. You know, and you know, my family is great. My son had opportunity to spend. You know, we had a father-son weekend with my roommates from college, and now that's been 35, 40 years ago. I've been knowing these guys, and we take our sons. You know, this was just the second year. Usually we go out to Vegas every Super Bowl and just kind of reminisce, and you know, those stories get bigger and longer, and you know, one touchdown turned to two, and you know, and then three, and you know, you remember when I shook you, and you know, all that time. But we had a chance to share with our sons, you know, and all our sons are named after us. So you got Johnny 2, Leonard 2, Durrell 2, Rudy 2, you know, and I don't know if you know Durrell Cobra's son. He actually trains Shador. You know,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
And he's also the trainer of the quarterback from Miami. So
okay,
he works with those two guys, and then he works also with the Virginia Tech guy.
Was he also a college quarterback as well?
Yeah, he played quarterback at first he went to SMU, and then he transferred and finished his career up in Lamar. And actually, that was the last time Lamar went to a championship. Yeah, Cam, what's his name?
Cam Ward.
Yeah, Cam Ward. Yeah, he trained Cam Ward. Those guys started out, and he's doing real well in that business. So, I can't just say, you know, those times spending with guys you actually met at 17, 18 years old, and now, you know, we're in the age we are now, and we still good friends.
Hey, well, that's amazing, Coach, that you guys still stay connected. And I'm gonna correct you, Coach. It's about 40 years later, so you know you can leave that 30 off of it.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. Hey, look.
No.
Time flies when you're having fun, Coach.
Yeah, Coach. I want to say, that night in Mississippi Valley when you threw those 6 touchdowns, Coach, it's been 40 years ago, Coach. It's been a while.
Now you know that come up on a trip every year because everybody get their number, Coach. And it's funny that you say that because the guys I hang out with were my wide receivers, and we had what they call an H-back. My friend Rudy, he was kind of that guy. He could go from running back to wide out, you know, so he could move around and give us more formations and different stuff that we could do. You know, we were in no huddle too, Coach.
Oh man. Yeah.
So some of this stuff they're doing now, we actually did it. We had wristbands, and you know, we never got in a huddle. You know, we could jump from fullback to tailback. We were just explosive as they were.
Hey, you know, Coach, and while we're waiting on our featured guest to jump on with us, I really want to open this up to allow some people some of our followers and fans, whatever, to give us some ideas of what kind of content, who you like to see us interview, and of course, as always, we got the number open, right? So what I want to do is I had some ideas, and y'all tell me if I'm on to something. Me and my wife had some conversations. I want to know if we on to something. And the conversations were around what kind of content we can put out. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Coach. Coach Cole is really hard on coaches. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Coach Cole is hard on coaches, right? Because he's a winning coach and he has a high standard of excellence. But Coach, as me and Keisha was talking, and we thought it would be apropos for you to at some point start developing content around improving the proficiency of coaches and offering some of your expertise to coaches? Go ahead.
Well, I don't want to use the word hard on coaches because I want to be, I'm fair. One thing about me, I'm not afraid to stand up and talk what I talk because nothing I say is personal. It's just how it is. And I understand too that, things are 2020, you know what I'm saying? And there's been situations, that I've been in myself that I've seen coaches be, in, and, it is what it is. At the end of the day, that's what we get paid for. And I believe in winning ain't everything. It's the only thing at the end of the day. We get paid for winning and coaching and developing young people.
Yeah. And so in the spirit of that, Coach, it is our opinion, my wife and I's opinion, that you have a wealth of knowledge to impart on this generation of coaches. A lot of, honestly, coaches that are somewhat inexperienced, as you pointed out, and really at the beginning not only of their coaching careers, but some of them are at the very beginning of their head coaching careers. Some coaches in HBCU football, believe it or not, has never coached at the college level, and they already head coaches. Ain't that right, Coach?
Yeah. I was talking today to my brother today, and I got to thinking, and I'm taking this one off of your deal, Rocky, that in the last 24 years, it's 24 years now, we only just got one coach who has won a SWAC championship that's actually coaching, and that just happened last year. And do you guys know that Eddie Robinson Jr. is actually the Archie coach that's been coaching the longest?
The dean. He's the dean.
He's the dean of the coaches in the SWAC. 4 years. Man. You know what I'm saying? And then when you look at who got the most experience, in coaching, you got to say Tremaine Jackson, who's actually just coming in, as a head coach. So, we are very, 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 very young and inexperienced, and not in a negative way, where we are with our conference as a whole.
Yeah, Coach, I do understand that, and that's why I was thinking, rather than be, because the coaches are young, somewhat inexperienced, they're always going to be in situations and circumstances till they get a number of years under their belt. A lot of those experiences and circumstances are going to be new to them. I mean, you brought up a situation last year that really hurt you when your alma mater was in position to defeat a team, Prairie View. Southern. Yeah. And it was just a miscalculation by the head coach that they could have secured a victory just by snapping the ball and running out the back of the end zone.
Right.
And they elected to try to attempt to punt the ball, which ultimately cost them 7 points and a victory that night. And you say, and you pointed out that you have to make, as coaches, you have to make those calculations and you have to prepare for those situations. But being that was Coach Dishman's maybe first time in the seat making that decision, he may have not had all the information that he needed to make the best decision.
And that goes back to how you choose your staff as well. We talk about coaches choosing the coaching staff and who they working with and that kind of deal, and I hear some guys talk about, I want to work with somebody I like, you know what I'm saying? And I think, I've been on both sides. I've been on staffs that we liked each other and lost. I've been on staff that we disliked each other and lost. I think the thing about it is that, that you be on there and you be professional. And that's why guys, about celebrity coaches, that being a head coach is not an easy task, man. You know what I mean? It's not at all. And sometimes it just comes down to human nature that you might have a coach on your staff that's jealous of you or envy of you or don't want you to win. I was coaching at Arizona Western with this older coach named Bill O'Meara. And the young coaches got to yapping, about what's going on and the kids. And then Bill O'Meara turned around and said, "That's what's wrong with y'all young guys. Y'all don't want to follow order. My thing is, won't y'all go get your own team, and coach your own team." And then he started going around and said, "Well, let me tell you about yourself. And let me tell you about yourself. And let me tell you about yourself." And he said, "That's what's wrong with you, young coach. You all want to start running stuff and ain't even been in the seat yet. Just be a good assistant coach." So it's just so many dynamics that goes and plays a role in that head guy. And when people lose confidence in you, man, they tear a hole in you. You know what I'm saying? I could tell you on my championship team, we had a great defense led by Coach Ramsey. You know what I'm saying? But I knew that I had some specific things that I like for my players to do, like wear collar shirts and no flip-flops, and wear what we give you and no belt, pants off your hips. Well, I knew all of my coaches wasn't going for it. I don't want to name names, but I did make sure I had a coach on offense and a coach on defense. Then Coach Campbell, when I wasn't around, it was getting done. You know what I mean? And it wasn't and I tell you, and you would hear some coaches, "Oh man, that's Coach Cole's rule." Now that's Coach's rule. Instead of saying, no, that's our rule.
Absolutely.
And they knew at the end of the day, I didn't care who you were. You know what I mean? I always told my team. And the last thing I told my team before I left, when I decided to resign, was I told them the day one, nobody in this room is bigger than this team. And I told them the day I left, I've always told you nobody's bigger than this team, not even me. You know what I mean? Because Texas Southern gonna kick a ball off August the 4th. Whether you there or not, they're gonna kick a ball off. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of my things. And again, when you're a young coach, man, and you got some folks on your staff, man, that want to be a head coach or don't appreciate them giving you a position. I fired my best friend off my staff. You know what I mean? And he was one of my childhood friends, and I could tell you the story without telling you his name. But man, we be having meetings and he ain't there, and I had to let him know, "Hey, coach, man, you got to come on to the meetings." And he kind of handled my equipment the way the kids dress. And if I said, "Okay, we in all white," by the time he leave my office and get down and walk through the kids, "Man, we don't want to wear all white. Man, let's wear this." And then I usually the last one come out in the locker room. I see them. Shit, if I said all white, shit, they in all maroon. I'm like, who did this? So anyway, I ended up moving him from that spot, moving to tight end coach. And I said, "Man, learn the offense, learn it, And everybody knew how close we was. And the other coaches told him, "Man, you ain't got a contract, you got a deal. You got a deal, man. You the head coach's guy."
Oh man.
So man, but he made mistake after mistake, didn't get better. So one day I'm coming in the office, I'm already hot at him. And I already had warned him and told him and all that good stuff, man. And I came in, he said, "Coach, I need to go help my girlfriend move." I said, "Okay, well, we got a meeting at 3. Well, shit, coach, he came walking in at 5. I said, okay. We in the offensive meeting. I said, won't you get up on the board and, write down such and such. I gave him a play or formation. He couldn't write it down. I said, just man, write down something that you know. He couldn't write it down. I said, hey, man, y'all get out of the office. And I had a assistant coach, my assistant head coach with me. Anything or any decision I made sure he was in the room with me. And I just told him, man, I said, man, I love you, man. I love you. But it ain't right to them kids down the stairs, and it ain't right to these coaches in this hallway, man. They got family, We here to coach football, man. You ain't going the right direction, man. So I gotta let you go, man. And I hugged him up, Mr. Campbell, but he had to go. And guess what we did? We went on to win the championship. You know what I mean?
Coach, let me ask you this here, Coach. Are y'all still friends?
Of course not. He went on to call the NCAA on me and everything else, Coach.
Yeah, Coach.
But
I learned very early as a young manager. One of my directors told me when I was trying to assist someone with something, I was showing them favor, and it turned out to ended up biting me in the tail, so to speak. And he said, Rock, I want you to understand something. He said, no good deed goes unpunished.
Right. Well, and that's what I say about when I hear these guys hiring their buddies and all that, But, in my case, I work for my brother. And that was always the number one question that was asked to me. How can you work with your brother? How can I've heard family can't do business together. I can work with my brother because I wanted to see him do well. I'm in love with my brother. I want him to see him do well. So I'm not going to take advantage of it. I'm not, now I can say a couple things to him, but I'm sure it ain't going to say it in front of them. Now we might get behind closed doors or we might be in front of my other brothers, but I'm always respect him as a head coach. And I just believe that you got, if you get a job, man, it's one-on-one. Do your job.
Now, Coco, I would really at some point like to ask LC about this, because at the end of the day, I got a theory. And my theory is this, Coach, that you are his brother, but you also his mama's baby boy. You understand, Coach?
Yeah.
That don't get you nothing. That don't get you. Now I understand being your brother, but you also his mama's baby boy. So he don't only have to answer to brother. He do something. He let you go. Who else he gonna have to answer to?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I never put him in that situation because I understood that. And I also understood that a lot of people looked at it that way. I remember when we got the job at Tennessee State and we was at an alumni function and one guy hollered out, now, LC, now, you hired your brother as the offensive coordinator, and he don't get it done. And if we can call his plays now, then hold on for a minute, Coach. Hold on, this is it. Yeah, Coach.
Hey, what's going on, my
man? Man, we just waiting on you.
Yeah, I told him to set on my calendar, man. I was trying to sign in mine. That's my problem.
All right.
I'm happy to see you text message.
Okay. Well, you gonna be ready to come on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Well, let me finish telling my story. All right. We waiting on you.
What I need to do?
Did you get the stream?
I sent him the email.
It's in your email from Rocky. I know we got some people, man, got some questions to ask you. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, damn, I forgot my story I was gonna tell.
No. You were saying, Coach, I'm gonna get you back oriented. They were saying you didn't hide your brother as offensive coordinator.
Yeah, we had this thing. Now I'm a hothead. I was a hothead. I was cocky. And he was up at the podium like, yeah, I understand. I stood up, said, hey, don't worry about firing me. When you get where you can call my plays, I'm going to quit. I didn't, let me tell you, a lot of people didn't like me per se, because I was cocky, I was cocky, but I was able to put the numbers up, and bag it all up. I was Dion before it was Dion.
Hey,
really.
So
I just didn't have the jewelry, and I wasn't hitting home runs and returning punts.
So Coach, what you say? You never ever gave LC a reason to fire you.
I almost fired him twice.
Hey, Coach, you was putting up those, 39 points a game, winning those PWI conferences. Matter of fact, you may have been his secret ingredient to success, huh, Coach?
Well, everybody said LC was the boss, but I was the engine. But no, we did some great things. A tribute to him. He gave me the opportunity, number one, and the opportunity to and let go. He never put his hands on it. He actually let me coach. I had some great guys. They went on to be coordinators at Eastern. Fred Kice down the XFL. John Carr now at the works with the New York Jets. I've been able to have some great guys around me. Russ Ernfield, he coached, in the XFL as well. Grady Brown, defensive back with the Steelers. Kapilovic, O-line with the University of Alabama right now. Mark Orphy just got the defensive back job at Texas. Of course, y'all know Tremaine Jackson at Prairie View. So, Richard Freeman used to be the head coach at Morehouse. Darrell Williams, head coach at Livingstone. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on, that we've had. It just wasn't us, or it just wasn't me. I had some great guys around me. But one thing about it, guys, and I believe in it, when we met, sometimes it wasn't a nice meeting, you know what I mean? But we were able to walk out of the room and be on the same page. I demanded that, and I think as a head coach, you got to. If you're going to lose, you lose together, not coming out there and you got an ideal and you got an ideal, and we never come together on the ideal.
Yeah. That it seems like that's important, Coach. And speaking of this, they had a minority coaches conference this past weekend, Coach.
Right.
Is that something that you've ever been a part of, or is that a new organization, or?
Well, what they did was, and we could talk with Eddie about it because he went out there. They branched away. They usually have the Black College meeting at the NCAA football deal, and I think this was the second year they broke away and had it separately. Yeah, and I used to be a member of that, but I'm no longer a member. So now they broken away from the National College Football Coaches Association pretty much, and just have an individual one.
Okay, I just want to let you know, Coach, whenever you're ready, the dean of SWAC coaches is in the green room.
Hey, man, that's my friend, man. Bring my friend on out because we really want to, get at him and look. Hey, you the granddaddy now of the league, man.
Yeah,
Could you imagine that?
That's pretty amazing. Can y'all hear me pretty good?
Yeah, we hear you fine, Coach.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing how everything transferred that fast. All of the coaches, some left and went to other aspects, and other guys unfortunately were let go. But yeah, I guess so. I guess you can say that based on the numbers. But for me, it's just business as usual. We're trying to get Alabama State to win the championship. So that's the goal. That's the mission. So that's what we're focusing on. You know that, Johnny.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, Coach, before we start talking about your recruiting, how was the coaches convention? Kind of give us a little bit of you guys have branched away from the National Football Coach Association. And how well was it attended?
Yeah, it was attended really well. I think it's I don't think it's a branch away. I think it's just an extension of it. A lot of the coaches went to both conferences, I think, for the most part. But I thought we had a good HBCU coaches panel. Coach Zoe out there, he's at Arizona now. He does a good job of promoting it. And as you know, they had a lot of, especially during COVID, a lot of Zoom calls, but coaches were doing a lot of networking. So I think it's big from a standpoint where a lot of the minority and black coaches, they even had one with the Polynesian coaches, Coach Joe Salavea, guy that played with me with the Titans. He's over coaching that. He was at Miami. I think he's at Arizona also. And so they had a Polynesian part of it. So it was good for a lot of minority coaches, as the name say. And I enjoyed it. I was able to talk with Coach Huff down there at Southern Miss and just talk with a lot of different coaches. And that's the big part of it, as you know, the networking aspect of it. And as a head coach, you're always looking for those young coaches that can possibly move up or when coaches leave that you can get into your program.
Now, who is it? Is it sponsored by anybody or?
Well, they had, and I don't want to say sponsors that I don't know and name the wrong sponsor, but they did have some sponsors. They actually had, little vendors booth, but they had a couple people that were out there, selling different stuff for the coaches. But I thought overall, man, it was well attended. I thought the Coach Freeman from Notre Dame received the Coach of the Year award. With the HBCU coaches, it was Eddie George, myself, Mickey Joseph, TC Taylor, Damon from Morgan State. So it was about a panel of about 6 of us. It was really good. They had a FBS coaches panel with Huff and Willie Simmons, those guys, and so it was really good, man. For me, I'm always going there trying to learn, so. Talking to Coach Moorhead over at Akron, offensive coordinator, been at Penn State, been a lot of different places. So I picked up a lot of tips. You had Marvin Lewis who was there. Hugh Jackson was there. So you had a couple former NFL coaches. They have, how do you interview for offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. So it was, if you went, as you know, with these coaches convention, you could either sit outside in the lobby and talk, or you could go into the meetings and learn something from the people that are presenting. So I always make it a point to go in there, sit down, take notes, pay attention, and learn something that I can bring back to Alabama State to help us get better.
Yeah. I remember my days. I might have went to 30 straight from the 80s to the 90s. And you're right. Sitting out in lobbies, walking from spot to spot, trying to get that one Division I job, man, but some reason it slipped through my hands every time. But I'm glad we kind of doing it that way. I think we can get more of more of the emphasis on it and actually get to know each one of us. I tell you, one year I went and they had Lou Holtz speak to us. I don't know if you was you probably wasn't at that one, and man, he kind of said that ain't none of y'all in here can get somebody a job. He said, you guys need to go out and start meeting some other guys from other conferences, basically saying meeting white guys and get to networking that way. You know what I'm saying? So that was interesting conversation.
Yeah, but and I think, you start, and that's why I'm talking with Coach Huff down there at Southern Miss. He was the former coach at Marshall. And just, for us, now it's some black coaches that are getting those FBS jobs, with Willie Simmons and those guys. So, wishing all of those guys the best of luck. And so, but the biggest thing is, as we know, it's the administrators and the ADs who a lot of time hire those positions. So that's you have to really network with those college presidents, those ADs and that type of stuff. And a lot of guys have agents, so that help you to kind of break down that barrier. Then you have to know how to interview. And so, I'm gonna spend some time with Coach Huff down there at Southern Miss and go to their mega camp. Guy with an HBCU background that's coached at the FBS level, has done a really good job as a head coach. And so, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. You got to go talk with those coaches, and that's what the whole part of the profession is trying to get us an opportunities where the minority coaches can have the opportunities to move into those type of positions if they desire. If you want to move up, some people's goal is to move up to NFL. Some guys are trying to move to FBS. Like I had 2 of my coaches, my defensive coordinator and my cornerback coach, both moved up to FBS positions. And so, greatly, I look at that as a success of the program. But both of them The defense was ranked, number one in the conference, top 5 nationally. My cornerback coach, Coach Williams, had 3 guys the third guy this year who all get a chance to play in the NFL and All-Americans, and me as a Williams Award winner. So when you're working at a very high level, and that's when you get a chance to move up to the next level. And so that's what, I don't think it's a situation where you get in black college football and now you won't have a chance to move up to the next level, whether it's as a position coach, head coach, or coordinator. If you're doing a really great job at this level, then I think the opportunities are there for you to move up to the next level.
Yeah. I think, we are making some progress, a whole lot of progress. I just still think that we're not getting those head jobs that we deserve. But, we just got to keep sawing away at it. You know what I'm saying? And, our football and HBCU is just as good as anybody's. We still only got 3 HBCU coaches, that actually jumped out to HBC as a head coach and jumped into a head coaching position. So, hopefully that we can change that around. One of the questions was, we was talking about Willie Simmons and him being an HBCU. He's not an HBCU guy, but he got his platform from HBCU. But unfortunately, when he got the job where he at, they were meant to ask me, did he hire any HBCU coaches on the staff? So
that's the part that I think we have to be very aware of is once you get the call up, you can't shut the door behind you. You can't, you can't say, hey, I'm here, and then shut the door on everybody else.
That's one thing I loved about Dion. He did take some people with him, from the HBCU level and had them coach. I think, I can't think of the coach at Alcorn State, the white guy. I forget his name all the time.
Jay Hobson.
Jay Hobson. Hobson did take some guys from Alcorn to Southern Miss. And that's what we need, Coach. We need that hand up. You know what I mean? We don't always got to get it to head job, but if we could get even at some of them sister jobs, that's why I'm so damn gun-ho, Coach, on leave my HBCU jobs alone to my HBCU people. Rocky?
Well, Coach.
Hey, that sounds like a segue. That's what they call that.
Hey,
I've been
we still got to do the Underground Railroad, man.
Well, Coach, I understand that, Coach, and Coach, I want to ask you a few questions. Coach, we went down to your spring game last year. I got a chance to lay eyes on your football team and talk to some of your assistant coaches and meet some of your assistant coaches. I came away for that game, that spring game, knowing for sure who would be the 2024 SWAC champion. I left that game without a doubt, knowing who would hold up the trophy. So, with that being said, Coach, on that day in Miami, what happened, and did that day change the fate of your entire football team?
Well, I think that day and probably the next week also against Miles College, because first of all, going down to Miami, playing Central, good football team. They were coming off a great year the year before, so we knew what we were going to have to face. And Trey Oliver, he has a championship program, and a lot of those guys had they all had MEAC rings on. So it's a difference when you have a lot of guys that have been there to the top. They know what to expect, and so going down there, we played hard. We fell behind, down 21-0 first game on the road. But the guys play hard. We came right back in and had a chance to win at the end. But yeah, with the injuries to Body and also Jonah, so now you have your first 2 quarterbacks hurt in the first game, and realizing that neither one of them going to be able to play the next week. And with Body, we knew it was going to be multiple weeks, if not season ending. And so the first thing you're trying to make sure that both of those young men are okay, just because we know how much time and how much hard work you go into a football season. And to have an injury in week 1, and then Body, this was the second year in a row. So you're just looking at the mental aspect of the kids, and then the team, because the team is like, all right, man, we got 2 quarterbacks. We could win with either one of them. And that was kind of the mindset of the team. Like, man, both of these guys, but then when both of them are hurt and you lose the game, It's like, and so then going into that second week against Miles College, I have my big freshman up there, James from Coconut Creek, and he starts the game off. He throws a touchdown. He comes back, he throws a second touchdown. So we like, all right, we good. We got another quarterback. We're straight. And then in the third quarter, just a freshman mistake, he could have easily threw the ball away, and he started trying to do some crazy stuff. And all of a sudden he has a knee injury. So you're like, all right, well, he'll be out for a couple of weeks, but then he was out for the season. So it was deflating, definitely. But I think the coaches did a great job of just, my thing, I believe in the Stoic philosophy. You don't make any excuses and you don't complain. So if we'd have started complaining and making excuses, then I think the season would have went in a different direction. But I kind of pushed that charge of, hey, this is where we at. We got a game next week. Nobody cares about the injuries at Alabama State. Let's go out there and play football. And so we're still able to win 7 out of 12 games. And had a chance at the end. We missed a field goal against Grambling and was in a tough game against Jackson State at home. So we still had a chance to represent the East, but it wasn't meant to be. But learned a lot from the team, a lot about the adversity. Good teams are going to fight back under adversity. And so, but that first game, and I think everybody in our side of it, we felt like that we had a great chance to win the East, and win the SWAC championship, which was the goal. And but it's football. It's like life. Everything doesn't happen the way you want. That's why you get auto insurance, not because you want to have an accident, but if you do, you want to have insurance. So that's the purpose of it. So it's just something. It was a good lesson for everybody. So now we have to regroup and get back ready for another run at it.
In speaking about giving it another run, I just want to ask a question. One of the reasons why I picked you guys, Coach, is what I saw Andrew Body do in that spring game and was anticipating him moving forward. I haven't heard a lot from Andrew over the past year because of the injury. One, is he part of your program moving forward, and can we expect him to be back on the field?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's had the surgery. He's recovering. He's throwing a little bit now, getting back into it. He'll probably participate at a minor level in the spring, but I know he can play football, so I don't need to see him in the spring to show me that. And so, working on him, make sure that he graduates in the fall and those type of things. So, but great kid. I mean, he came here last year and just has impeccable leadership ability. I mean, I think he'll be governor of Texas one day. And I say that without not in a joking manner. Like, seriously, this kid has an it factor that you can't really coach that. Like, his leadership ability is natural. And so he's back working out hard, recovering from the shoulder injury. He has every intention of, going out there and playing, competing for a starting job. But it's hard to bet against him just because, when you get transfer kids, and we played against them, and I talked to Coach McKinney and heard nothing but great things about him. But once you get into a game atmosphere, and Coach, you can speak on this. You can have a kid can be a great player in practice, but to a coach, until you see him in the game with the big lights, when somebody hit him in the mouth, how's he going to react to adversity? Till you see that as a coach, you don't really know what you have. All right. And so it was a situation, I think, where he had one run or something, and he came to the sideline. He was tired. And I said, hey, man, you can't be tired. You didn't work too hard this whole offseason. You in the best shape of everybody. He went out there and ran for a 60-yard touchdown. I was like, okay, we got something. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that he was for him to respond based on that conversation, so I'm like, okay, this is going to be a fun year. And then he got hurt the next series. So it's like, I said, man, the football guys are out here playing with me. So, but it's been fun coaching that kid so far, man. He's just a great person. And so, yeah, we definitely are looking forward to him being a part of the program.
And last Andrew Body question, Coach. We know he was injured his last year at Texas Southern. We know he was injured last year. What's the outlook on his eligibility, and could he recover one or both of those injured years?
Yeah, he should. I mean, I'm not the compliance person, but yeah, he should definitely be the medical red shirt one of those years to still get back. So he should have a year, definitely, possibly two. And so that's kind of the status of it. And the biggest thing is he's doing well in the classroom. He should be graduating soon, and so I know he's excited about that. And in the grand scheme of all of this, we want to make an impact on the kids' lives and make sure that we can guarantee they get a degree. I can't guarantee NFL, but the degree aspect of it is what everybody should be coming to college to make sure they still get. So.
Okay, I'll hand you over to the Rattler, Mr. Campbell.
Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How's it going tonight?
Hey, Coach, listen, it's our 55th year on this earth, me and you. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We're 88 guys and stuff like that. Coach, first of all, man, how do you look so good to be about to be 55? Man, I'm sitting up here looking at you, bro. You look like you that guy from the Old Spice commercial, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what is that secret, first of all? Because I'm sitting up here like, man, Coach look good, boy. So, Coach, on a serious tip, what do you do to maintain yourself? Because that's going to lead into something that you just talked about. To, maintain your health, to maintain your mental aspect, because I mean, I've seen you before. I remember you like seeing you play, and you literally look the same. What do you do to really keep yourself sharp just to be a head coach?
Yeah, man. So I've gotten to cycling. I used to be into jogging when I first retired. Now I'm into cycling. So the cycling part of it, it's to me, it's just so relaxing. I've always been a bicycle guy since a kid. My dream when I was a kid was actually to ride in the Tour de France. You know what I'm saying? That was my dream as a kid. I used to watch it on the Wide World of Sports on Saturday and Sunday back as a kid. And I was like, man, I want to ride the Tour de France. But, black kid in New Orleans probably wasn't going to happen, right? So I went to football instead. Right, exactly, right? So, so I love the cycling part of it and what it does. Like, that's part of my routine. Like, on Sunday morning after the game, win or lose, I'm going to get up early, do about 35, 40 miles on the bicycle, like at 5:30 to 7:30. And it's no phone. It's just me. I'm riding. You get out there in Montgomery, back in the roads in Alabama, it's nothing but cows and turkeys and deer running across the road. But it's just a way where you can really focus, almost like on a meditation standpoint, to focus on what's going on. And I do Tai Chi every Monday. That's part of my routine. And so I think it's the relaxation aspect of it. On Wednesday, I got an 11 to 1 where I go to a coffee shop. That's middle of the week where I sit down and think about the game plan to see if do we need to make changes. So I think as a coach, you got to have those me time moments, and I have them part of my routine. And so it took me to get to like my second year to really figure out that schedule to be like, hey man, it's just the scatterbrain of running left, right, the stress of being a coach. If you don't have moments to like restack the blocks and get them back organized, it's kind of like you got to reload the computer. So those things have helped me out a lot. And but I will say this, I'm down in Houston right now, and I got to go see the hip surgeon tomorrow. I had one hip replaced, and I was feeling great. I'm sprinting out the tunnel last year. I'm full speed again, and then all of a sudden the other hip started hurting. So we'll have to see. So still on the inside, it's some mornings when I wake up and I say, yeah, you played 11 years in the NFL. I can tell. So it's a daily grind of taking care of your body, man. It's definitely something you got to be smart about.
Now, Coach, see, I'm a cyclist too. Now, I ride 20 miles a day. So I'm with you with cycling and the mental aspect of just being out there peace. And that was one of the things. So I totally agree with you on that. And I just think that's so important because sometimes you just have to have that mental focus of blocking everything out so you can kind of get your objectives right and things like that. So I wanted to start off with what you said about Andrew Body. You said about that he could be the governor of Texas. So here's the thing, and Coach, I've always said this about you. We said that about you when you were in school. Everybody knew who Eddie Robinson was because of the high character individual you were and everything. So you could be and still could be the governor of Alabama, you know what I mean? And things like that. But with that being said, and we're talking about recruiting, does that play because you are a high character person? You've always been known for academics, outstanding play on the field, but high character. So is that when you go, especially when you're looking into the portal, is that one of the things that you say, or where does that fall in your top 5, top 10 as far as a kid's character and their academic ability when they're going to come to Alabama State?
Yeah, it's right up at the top. And so the coaches know that we want attitude, effort, and intelligence. And that's what we start with, kids that have a great attitude. And attitude and character are right and synonymous. So you got to have kids that's going to come into work with a great attitude, have a high character. Then I need somebody to speak on your behalf. Like I called Coach McKinney and asked him about Andrew Body. What kind of kid? I could tell he can play football, but I need to know, is this the type of kid you want in your program? He had nothing but great things to say about the kid. So what I tell the kids is it's like a job interview. When I paid for you to come on an official visit, 9 times out of 10, I'm asking you the question that I already know the answer to. I say, when you on the plane flying here thinking about what you're going to say, your reputation already sat on the couch and told me who you are. you know, and so the kids don't realize how big their reputation carries you in life. And so I need to know that the person that I think you are is what I'm getting. So if the character and stuff and the hard work and the work ethic, it's gonna have to take a high school coach, college coach, trainer, or if I have a kid on my team that's coming and I already have a kid that's here that's coming from that same school, from that high school, I'm gonna ask one of the players, like, hey man, is this the type of kid you would want to be a teammate with again? And so, you know, keep in mind, I get that kid here in January. I gotta trust him and be ready to play by August, September. And I gotta know everything it is about this kid. So I don't have a whole lot of time. And those transfer kids, you're expecting them to play right now. Like, we're not bringing kids out the portal to develop. We're bringing you here to plug and play. Like, we lost 6 defensive guys, you know, 5 are all conference. And so the guys that I brought in to replace him with, I'm expecting you to be at an all conference level right now, March 5th, when we start spring practice. And so I can't get into the aspect of, do you not go to class? You know, do you talk back? Do you have a bad attitude? Like, I'm going to eliminate all of those things. Now it's just going to be down to, can you play football or not, as much as we can.
That is awesome, Coach. I'm going to share my screen because that kind of leads into my next thing, talking about your recruiting class. Let me see if I can share this, because it was kind of interesting what I saw, and I wanted you to kind of tell the people what was your philosophy. Let's get this up here. That's it right here. Okay, hopefully that'll come up when you guys can see it. There we go. So, Coach, this looks like your recruiting class for 2025. Now, what I saw, which I thought was very interesting, and hopefully people can see that, is 2 breakdowns: your 2024 December signees and, of course, your February signees. But what I saw in 2024, it looked like you went high school heavy, which was very interesting to me, because you hear a lot of people, no, I don't want to recruit high school. But I've said, to me, because the way the portal is now, there's a lot of talented high school players that potentially can be developed and to build your program. So was that some of your thought process when I saw that you went early in December with a lot of high school players?
Yeah, so we signed maybe 13 to 14. And I know, Johnny, you can kind of attest to this, you know. Before, you know, 1AA FCS guy, we couldn't get a lot of kids to commit early because they were going to wait till February and see if the big schools, then they would come to us. But now the kids are realizing, if I don't sign a scholarship in December, then what is coach going to do? He's going to go look in the portal. And so in February, it may not be a scholarship for me. So now we're able to sign kids, like you said. Most of these kids have offers at bigger schools, and they didn't want to take the chance of waiting. And so, you know, they say, hey, you know, and I tell the kids, like who like you. If you like me and I like you, then what you waiting for? You know, my grandmother used to tell me, you choose, you choose shit. You know what I'm saying? So don't stop sitting out here waiting. Make a decision, right? And so that we pushed them to that aspect of it. But we still believe that the high school kids are the baseline of the program. We try to sign, I think we signed a total of 17 this year, maybe 14 early and 3 late. So we try to do about 15 to 17 high school kids, another 10 walk-ons. That gives me about 25 to 27 true freshmen every year. And those 10 walk-ons, the kids that we really feel are good enough to get a scholarship. Like, even the walk-ons kind of elevate the program. And we've had some guys that have been able to play right away. And so, and then with the portal kids, you're trying to replace the starters like right now. You know, so we lost 2 all-conference linebackers. So we got a kid that came from Central State, who was a really good guy, all SIAC player. And so I think you're trying to replace, you know, players with players to plug in. Now you have a young guy too, so then you have the competition. Maybe it's the young guy moving up in the program or the transfer portal kid. They'll both decide who's going to be the best one in the spring and in the fall. But I think that's, to me, how you build it. But those they have some. It's unfortunate because I see a lot of high school kids. I'm like, man, how does this kid not have a scholarship? You know, and so it's just the portal aspect of it. You still got a couple more COVID kids out there with that 5th and 6th year and stuff. And then with the whole NIL stuff, if you a kid, why are you rushing to the NFL? You know, if you could make extra money in college for 1 more year, you see a lot of kids doing that, even though we're not paying that type of money. But at those bigger levels, if you can make 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, why wouldn't you stay 1 more year in college? But then that's that high school kid who would have gotten a scholarship is not available for him. So,
yeah. So, Coach,
let me ask you one more follow-up, Demley, because it's something else I noticed. I also know, you know, and as a fan, because this is what happens with us fans. we see kids and they have the name Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and things like that. I didn't see you going for a lot of that. It looks like you went for guys that you maybe identify and said, this guy is a football player. And I see you had like one kid looks like came from Alabama. And I don't know if you can make that a little bit bigger. I know a couple of people are asking if you can. And Vanderbilt, those are two guys that I just saw right off just from a Power 5 SEC. But it looks like you didn't go, hey, you got a name just because you played there doesn't mean you can play. So that's also part of your philosophy that you said, hey, you know what? I'm really looking for football players. I really don't care if you played at a Power 5. I'm looking for more for football players.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Dietrich, defensive tackle from Mississippi Valley, well, he played against us. He was preseason out of conference. I know he can play in the SWAC. So I've seen him. He's from Huntsville, Alabama. So that's a kid that my risk of him not being able to play at this level is minimal. And so the kid that was at Central State, he started off at Pine Bluff. He played with our linebacker Rico Dozier, who was all conference. So I have coaches who told me he's a good kid. So I know what I'm getting. Another kid from Fort Valley, a tight end. Well, I knew his coach at Fort Valley. Coach Gibbs went to North Carolina A&T. So I know what he can do. For the most part, like he's played well at this level. And so and it's not that I don't want the Power 5 kids. If you have those kids that are moving down, but to me, the kids that have played at this level, and I think you look at the PFF, you look at the grade, like how many snaps did they have? Like to me, having a kid that's coming from Power 5, he got a pretty logo on his helmet, but he was there 3 years and he only played 30 snaps or 40 snaps or 50 snaps. So he doesn't have any game experience as opposed to a kid that's coming from a Central State or Division II school or another SWAC school, and he's played, 500 snaps last year. So give me the kid that's had the experience and that has played. And the bigger schools are doing the same thing. Like the FBS schools, they're looking at the FCS, the SWAC, and MEAC to say, hey, let me get the SWAC guy that's all conference, and let's get him to move up. So we're doing the same thing. Let me get the Division II guy that was all conference or all American, or the FCS guy who played. Because at the end of the day, you want a guy that's out there that has some game experience, not a whole lot of practice experience. Now, sometimes you get that SEC guy who just had all Americans in front of him and he didn't play. But the reality is, if you have an SEC player who has stats, then he's going to stay SEC because the NIL is going to dictate that he's going to get paid that type of money. So if you see a Power 5 guy coming to the level of the FCS, it's probably because he didn't have a lot of stats, and that's how it ends up. So, I mean, for me, give me some guys that are somewhat proven. That way I can eliminate the guy that transfers to this school, and then he's sitting around here and he doesn't play. That's the thing that we're trying to avoid. We want to get a guy that can go out there and compete right away.
Yeah, worst thing you can do is bring a Division 1A player on your team and he don't play. You talking about a problem. You got a problem. Well, it seems to me, the coach, that really all this NIL stuff, which a lot of kids is not getting the NIL, they're more getting the collective from these colleges, is actually helping FCS schools out. As you say, you putting the pressures on some of these kids that maybe would get 1A jobs if this new transition wouldn't have happened. You actually being able to go out and get some legit players early. I like the strategy. You put the pressure on them. Who's out of that group that you say the first group that you recruited that jumps out at you and probably going to be bidding for a starting role? Can you put that back up there, Coach Campbell?
Yeah, I can.
You mean as far as the high school kids who signed early?
Yeah. Do you think any of those guys is going to make an impact right away?
Yeah, I think probably the two defensive ends, the Patrick Smith kids, I think is his last name. One of the kids is out of down there in that Pensacola area, defensive end. Another one's from up in the Birmingham area. Those two kids, I think, can play right now, and it's a need. We lost Traquan Smith, who had 13 sacks last year, led all of FCS. So I know, and the kid Kanye Varner, who went to the portal. So we have a need at that position. So those are two guys that I feel like can come in and play as freshmen. And so I think some of my safeties, the Ford, I think he's one of those guys that can come in there and play. We had a true freshman safety that played last year. That's one of those positions. If you physically have the size and the mentality of it, I think you can come right now. And probably one of our linebackers out of BC range, Ricky Nichols. Like he just, having him up here he's a violent guy. And so I think he always talks about how he broke a face mask in high school and he's one of those guys. I just don't see him not being on the kickoff punt team, something as a linebacker, just because how physical he is. And so I tell my coaches, man, if we look at the first 4 plays and I don't see him knocking the crap out of somebody, then I'm not getting to play 5. And so we want to emphasize, like I tell my coaches, the identity of our team is we want to be a physical and violent team. We've added the word violent this year also. It was just physical. Now we're going physical and violent. And so I think that's a mindset that you have to have. It starts with the head coach. It filters down to the coordinators, offense, defense, O-line coach, D-line coach. And so I just think, football is one of those sports. If you could keep it in that mindset of we're going to be more physical and tougher than you, which starts in practice. You have to have those type of practices. And then you got to recruit those type of kids. You can't have a finesse type kid and then all of a sudden you want him to be a tough guy. So we try to recruit tough guys. Like if I see an offensive lineman and he's not pushing people late, he's not trying to pancake, he's not stepping over him when he finished the block, what I'm doing. We're not just trying to block you, we're trying to dominate you. And I think you gotta recruit kids that fit into the mindset of your program. And I think that's what hopefully we're doing a good job of getting people that fit into the mindset of the head coach and then the coordinators.
Hey, Coach, speaking of that, I want to follow up on that because one thing I want to point out and also ask you, how did that factor in? Coach, you came from, I'll say, a non-traditional coaching background into the head coaching position, right? But you were a defensive player in the NFL. Since you've been the head coach, I think you guys have finished #1 in defense in the SWAC since you've been the head coach at Alabama A&M. Did your experience as a defender, knowing what defense looks like, help you recruit the right kind of player, establish an identity? And also, Coach, how has your struggles on offense, right, factored into not having that your defense? Has your defensive identity hindered you offensively?
Well,
that was a sneaky way of saying his offense don't score enough points. Just say
no, Coach, no. It wasn't meant to be a slight. It was just meant to say.
Just kidding.
You came off the couch, Coach, and day one you had the best defense in the SWAC, and you've had offenses that, in my opinion, this is just my opinion as a fan and a commentator, that's held you back from winning what I believe, rightfully so. You've had defenses that could win the SWAC championship, but for whatever reason, you haven't because of your offensive production. So I'll let you address that however you want to, Coach.
Yeah, so that definitely when I'm doing those 40 and 50 mile bike rides this time of year, I rode today and I was reflecting back. I don't know why, because usually I'm thinking more forward, but I was just reflecting back on the last 3 years and the players and the coaches, et cetera, et cetera. So, but yeah, I mean, I think as a coach, you have to look at the big picture, and you have to. When you don't win the championship, which is the goal every year, you have to ask, well, what did we do wrong and how can we improve? I don't think you can improve without taking a hard look of what could I have done better as a head coach? What could we have done better as a team? Was it a player issue, scheme issue, whatever it was, to get better at it? Because that's what we're trying to work to get better every year. And so I think for me coming into it, every team I've been on has always been special teams and defense. I've just been around a lot of defensive-minded coaches. I haven't had a lot of offense. Probably Tom Coughlin was the only offensive coach that was really a head coach. And I was with him for 2 years, but he was still a tough, physical guy. You know what I'm saying? Everything he talked about was still being physical. So, and I think that's just what I've been around. And so if we won a SWAC championship and the offense averaged 45 points a game and the defense gave up 40 points a game, I don't think I would enjoy that year. I don't want to be part of a team where the defense is just like we just giving up touchdowns. That I would not. But when we beat Prairie View 9-6, that was a beautiful game to me. I was like, that was awesome, man. That was like, I enjoyed coaching that game. So I think part of it is probably me. I would take some of the blame for that, because I'm more of, once we get a lead, then my job is just to get out of there with a 1-point lead. Now, of course, yeah, I would love to win by 30 and 40 and we, high five and going through the fourth quarter and stuff like that. But when I'm looking at some of the struggles on offense, I think the first year, with D. Davis, he got hurt in the second game of the year, which hampered him in his development, and he didn't come back to game 4. And so I think he was on his way to having a really good year. I think that was part of that. The second year was moving in a direction that was a little bit better, but then, once again, we went from D. Davis to Stewart, and Stewart kind of got us there. Somewhat limited physically, but very smart player who won a lot of games for us and put us in position, but just came up a little bit short and winning. And this year, you get the quarterbacks hurt. So I think it was more the injuries than just if we can get the kid that's named the starting quarterback in week 1, whoever that guy is after those first couple games, to just be the guy throughout the whole year. And perform at the level that we think. I think the offense has been good enough, but from the quarterback position, I mean, it's a quarterback league. If you look at the last couple of years, the team that has the all-conference quarterback usually wins the conference in the SWAC. And so, and that doesn't mean that he has to be a 5,000 yard passer, but he has to be the most efficient quarterback in the conference who can play at a high level week in and week out. And so I think that's what we're missing from that offensive side of it. But I think put it like this: if we wasn't a team that was built on special teams and defense, I don't think we win 7 games in a situation where the first 3 quarterbacks are hurt in the first 2 weeks. And so I think it's more special teams and defensive guys, because that's not based on one guy. That's based on the mindset and the attitude of about 35 guys. So if I get 5, if we had some injuries on defense, if I get 5 or 6 of those guys left, I got about 30 soldiers left that's still ready to commit to this special teams and defense. If I get 1 super quarterback hurt, or 1 super wide receiver hurt, or 1 super running back hurt, then the rest of the offense is kind of tough, because I'm looking at one guy making a spectacular play as opposed to I'm being dominant as a unit. So to me, I think D-line and O-line is where it all starts. Defensively, you got to be physical at all aspects of it. And if that offensive line is physical, it's going to make everybody else look better. And conversely, if you look at the Super Bowl, that was just a simple fact that Philadelphia was just more physical and nasty than the Chiefs. Like, their defensive line just had a mindset that we're going to be more physical than the offensive line, and they made a great Hall of Fame generational quarterback look average because they were physically dominant from a defensive line standpoint. And so when you can do that, then I think you're going to have a successful season. But it's at this point offensively, obviously, Coach Johnny texts me, and he don't tell you like every win or lose. Like he look at stats. I remember I think we played Bethune-Cookman. We ran for 300 yards, but we passed for like 15. Coach, you got to pass the ball. I said, Johnny, we ran for 300, man. You got to throw that.
Hey, I have those same conversations with him, Coach, because I think, Coach, the style of game you want to play wins. I really do. I think it wins. However, you can't win that. The margin for error is just so small, Coach. Exactly. That's what you end up being in a situation where you can't fumble, you can't throw an interception, you can't, you
can't play from behind.
Right. And so, and I'm be honest with you, like, we do it, and I'm not going to say me because it's me and my staff. I do a great job of making sure that we're looking at our stats. And I'm not a big stat guy, but I'm a stat guy, meaning that at the end of the day, you got to win by 1 point, but the stats tell you who you are. And so just looking through the stats of all of the teams in the conference, and one thing that we have to get better at here is that we have to be better in the red zone. But the team who was number 2 in the country in the red zone, they scored 54 out of 56 times. What team do you think that was in the SWAC?
Jackson State.
So if you want to know why did Jackson State win the HBCU National Championship, I mean, Coach, John, you could tell us, if you score 54 out of 56 times, it was a 97% clip. The number one team, I think, was South Dakota State, who won the whole championship. So, but that's one thing that is one of those stats that just it stood out to me that I'm going to push with our team. Like, hey, man, when you get inside the red zone, you got to have a red zone mentality of that we score either touchdowns or field goals. I think they had like 30 rushing touchdowns within that aspect. So not only are you getting in the red zone, we're running the football into the end zone, which is a high percentage play. You know, when you're throwing it in the red zone, you get a sack, you get outside the field goal range. You get a turnover, you get no points. You know, so it's a lot of things that can go bad when you're passing it. But if you can hand it off and go downhill, so to me, yeah, we have to be more efficient in the red zone, have to be more explosive. You know, the quarterback has to connect on some of the deeper. We got to take more shots downfield. So trust me, Johnny, everything you tell me, man, I take notes, man. I analyze it. But if I could put it all in there 1 week, I would. But I mean, we're not trying to score 20 points. We're trying to score 40 points every game. You know what I'm saying? That's the goal. And I think for us, we have to become a more dominant team if we want to become a championship team. Right? We can't. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Coach E-Rob, I've seen Jackson State also lose a game where they were averaging 7 yards a carry. And threw 4 interceptions. Why are you even throwing the ball if you averaging 7 yards a carry?
Yeah, well, to me, and that's why I feel like the defensive line, like every coach, you know, we're recruiting guys. I'm like, all right, you got your number of scholarships. You got the one coach on my team who always gets one more scholarship is the defensive line coach, because we will never be short of defensive linemen. If I get 5 hurt, I'm gonna have another 10 that can play. Because if you don't have a defensive line and you can't stop the run, then it's game over. Because a smart coach is gonna just keep running the football. And I don't care how good your offense is, they're gonna be sitting on the sideline watching your defensive line get beat up. And so, but to me, conversely, if I can run the football, then like you said, why am I passing? But at the same time, you got to be efficient. You know, and I think that's where we are as a team right now, is just working on being a high-level, efficient offense. You know, not getting those 5-yard penalties. We've had a lot of drives where we start off 1st and 15 with the offside, and then we're punting with a 4th and 3. And it's all because of the penalty, and now we don't get the 3rd down because of the penalty. So it's like we're taking a real tough look on how we can improve and what we have to do to get better to play at a championship level. But I think the physicalness of it, the identity of the team, and then and last year's team was physical. And that's what I'm telling the coaches. That doesn't mean that the 2025 team automatically is going to be physical. That's something that you got to work with the mindset every year. And it starts with the spring. You know, we got to build that mentality of we're going to be a physical football team. And I tell the coaches, like, you can have a mindset of what you think you are and what you are. Like, my identity is what we put on film. You know, my philosophy is that we want to be physical. That's my philosophy. The identity is what I show in game 1, game 2, game 3. That's what people are going to talk about us. I can say all day long, hey, we want to be a physical football team. But if the other coaches don't say, man, Alabama State is physical, then we're not physical. It's just in our mind. So we got to put that to make it from a philosophy to our identity. And the kids know that. I preach that all the time.
One of the things, you know, with you losing your defensive back coach, as well as your defensive coordinator. Now, the defense y'all ran, did the past defensive coordinator run that, or you guys have worked together somewhere else, or he, you know, is the defense yours, and now that you've hired a new defense coordinator, I don't know who he is. Have you hired one yet?
Yeah, we have.
Are y'all gonna run the same defense? Are y'all gonna make the same calls, or have you just handed the keys over to the new guy?
It's going to be pretty similar. The way I look at it, you know, from a head coach's standpoint, and Ryan Lewis did a great job. You know, he came here the first year. He really came here as a special teams coordinator. Coach Sewell took the job, and then he went to, you know, from Bowie, and he went to Morgan State, you know, because Coach Wilson got the job at Morgan State. He needed to get back to his family. Totally understood it, made a total sense. And so what we did was Ryan kind of put in and continued what Sewell was doing, and then added on to it. And every year he would add a piece. I think the good part for us is that, you know, it was Coach Lewis's job to run defense. You know, I look at it as my job is to be critical. You know, It's my job to critique and to tell you, hey, man, if you're in this situation, these are the things that I see that could possibly hurt us, and I suggest you get it fixed. Now, I never had to get to a point with my defensive coordinator where I came in here and said, hey, now you need to do this and this because this ain't working. And then I was smart enough to know that, all right, we got a top 2 or top 3 defense. It was a couple of things that I was like, Ryan, we could do it this way, we could do it that way. But if what you're doing is working, then why am I going to sit up here and try to put extra mustard on the hot dog? The hot dog is good. It's ready to go. It tastes good. You selling them, but keep selling. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't have to really get involved. But those guys, my defensive coordinator, D-line coach, Coach Gresham, who was my linebacker coach, is now moving up to defensive coordinator. And then my D-line coach is going to be the co-defensive coordinator. So it's the same ideas in the room. I don't think we needed to make wholesale changes because what we were doing was working in the past. Now, I'm sure Coach Gresham will have his little twist on it. I may add my little spin on it like this, but at the same time, we're going to coach to what the kids do well. And I think that's what Ryan Lewis did a great job of. And coaching is not that hard. You find out, what do my kids do well, and do that. And then if they don't do something well, keep them out of those situations. If I got a 4-6 corner, then I don't need to be sitting here playing no bump and run. I better play some zone and give them a 12-yard kitchen. So let's be smart. And then if I got a guy that can't tackle, don't sit him in there and cover 2 and make him have to come force the edge. Let them do something different. So I think to us, we always try to coach to what the kids do well. And I think if you can simplify to that and don't have the kids thinking so much, you're competing against video games, girlfriends, school, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. You got all those things. When they leave that building, trust me, all of those things are important until the next morning. So you better keep it simple so they can know exactly what to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna clap with Coach Gresham. He's one of ours.
Yes, sir.
Alabama State guy, and I appreciate you moving him up. And I'm gonna pivot for a minute, Eddie, and you probably can answer or at least have something to say about these celebrity coaches. The one thing that I say about you when they ask you, you skipped the line, Coach Eddie, you slipped, but you were in college as well as in pro. You were a cerebral player. What is Johnny Cole saying? You was a player that wanted to know what the front end was doing, what the back end was doing, why the heck the defense coordinator was calling different plays. You was not only just a player, you was a student of the game. And I could tell when you used to call our games and talk that you weren't just showing up, sitting in that seat where you are for the first time, looking around the window like, now, what I do. You know what I'm saying? It's you already had an ideal of what you want to do because you have studied it. You was a cerebral player when I even coached against you of how you played and stuff. You know what I mean? You knew what was going on. So tell me, I got a problem with it, Coach. I got a problem with it. Tell me why your outcome, I really think, is different from the outcomes to come from pro players just walking into that spot. Yeah, so
let's start with this. From a cerebral player standpoint, that goes all the way back to my defensive coordinator when I was in college with Coach Harper, and then Coach Pritchard, who was my linebacker coach. We sat down with the real, and they taught me how to watch film. So I knew I can go get, with Coach Eddie Robb with Grambling, he was going to run the wing T, and his thing was, I don't care if they know our play. We're going to run our play so good that they can't stop it, And I remember they had a play where the tackle and the tight end would pull, and I would wait all game for that play. And when that tight end pulled, bam, I'm right behind him to make a tackle for loss. So I realized back then the importance of film study, which was really hard back then because you taking notes with a pen and paper, you have to write it down. Now the kids would get it
was real to real, guys. It wasn't
real to real, yeah.
Real to real.
And so when they say, and I tell the kids when they say cut ups, it was because you took the real to real and you cut it to make the tape into one reel. Now everything is you sit at home with your tablet hey, give me all of the plays with 3 wide receivers where they throw it to the left, bling, and then they all pop up. So it's like, there's no reason not to be a smart player these days. If you're not smart, as you're lazy. That's what it is.
Right.
We have to like work to get that information. And so I always felt like that I would get into coaching because I've always had, even when I played, I would do a football camp at Texas Southern. I would do a football camp in Montgomery with Reggie Barlow and those guys. And so I thought I would be a linebackers coach at the NFL level. That's what I thought that I would do. But just raising my kids and getting into coaching other kids, but not in the collegiate level. But then the broadcasting helped me out a whole lot. And I tell people, I was like, I did ESPN games for 8 years. And I think, Johnny, you're doing it now. So you can realize, so every week I'm looking at 2 coaches, and what's my job? To critique both of the coaches in situational football. Right. And so then I'm interviewing 2 different coaches every week. So if I do 10 to 12 games a year, I'm interviewing 20 to 24 coaches to giving me their philosophy on coaching. So trust me, I've heard a whole lot of different philosophies of coaching, and then I go and analyze the game, and I'm trying to predict and critique. Well, should he have called the timeout? Should he have not? Should he have went for it on that? So those are all coaching reps. And so I think for me, it helped out a lot. Like everything that happened in my life outside of coaching helped me when I got into coaching. So that's the first part of it. So I think that's how I got into the mental aspect of the game. And then as a player, I really got into watching film. Like I enjoyed, if you look at some of my highlights, in some plays you can see I'm smiling and I'm laughing because this is a play where I watched the film study and I should have been dropping in the flat, but they never took this tight end out. So I just blitz and make a sack. And it's hilarious to me because they haven't changed what they did all year. So I love when we can actually, make a play defensively based on that they think we're dumb. You know what I'm saying? So it's because they're too predictable, which is mean that you don't have respect for the defense, right? And so and I'm trying to teach that same stuff to my linebackers. I met with Bubba the year before last, Cunningham this year. I meet with those guys on Thursdays, and then I just give them it's the PhD version. I don't even meet with my young linebackers, so I don't want to confuse them. They got to be the older guys who can kind of absorb that knowledge that we're really trying to predict what the offensive coordinator is going to do in a certain situation so we can impact the game and make a big play. And so that's how, for me, I knew at some point I would get into coaching, but just to go to the head guy, Johnny, so I'll address it like this. So first of all, I feel very blessed and fortunate to have been given the opportunity to be a head football coach. I don't take that for granted. I think and not only in the community, but more important in the Black community, when people call you coach, I mean, other than like pastor, doctor, teacher, the barbershop, the coach is the guy in the community that people look up to. And so I've been in little small towns in Alabama where they say, hey man, you the head coach. You the head coach at Alabama State? I met Coach Van Cleve way back in 19. So they don't care about Eddie Robinson played in the NFL, played in the Super Bowl. You are the coach at Alabama State, and that means something to them. So I don't take it for granted of being the head football coach, especially at an HBCU. I think it's a true honor. And so, but when I took the job, Johnny, and I guess you'll appreciate this, it's a couple guys that I had to call and apologize to because I knew that these guys would have been great candidates to be the head coach at Alabama State. And I realized that I was skipping the line, and I was appreciative for the opportunity. And so, and I think the guys like you call them celebrity coaches, I think when they take the jobs, they have to take the jobs with a sense of humbleness to realize that, hey, I did not go the traditional route, but at the same time, it's some other coaches who I'm taking the opportunity for those guys. So you got to be appreciative and humble and not go in there like, yeah, I'm going to show you guys how to coach because I've been in the NFL, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think those are the guys that end up not doing well. And then people kind of don't feel like they get the whole HBCU culture because there's no other league that's really giving NFL guys, a quote unquote celebrity coaches like Johnny Cole would say, a job at the very top level to start off with. And I think those schools, their own alma maters, the other PWI schools, usually don't have that type of love for those guys, but we do at the HBCU level. So when you come into it, you have to be very appreciative and you have to be humbled by it and truly be humbled by it. And then there may be some guys that you need to apologize to say, hey, man, you're a great coach and you've been doing this for 20 years and you deserve this opportunity to be a head coach. And I know I got it in front of you, but trust me, man, keep working at it. And I hope, and I'm going to try to help you to be a head coach one day, because I realized that I got an opportunity that other people also deserve. And I think that's how you have to look at it.
Have any of those guys reached out to you? Because you are the closest and most successful guy that, have came off this is not nothing towards you, with off the couch and got into the CEO role of sort of. Have they reached out to you maybe to see, hey, coach, what are some of the things you done? Because one thing you do, Eddie, too, is, and this is how prepared you was. And like you say, this model has been, we've always had NFL guys come in and coach in the SWAC or the MEAC, but most of them have had coaching before that. But have they reached out to you, and then one thing about you too, Coach, when you got in it, you hired some fraternity brothers and some people with some friends. But one thing about you ain't afraid to, you had to move away from some of that as well. So a lot of burden was on that as you continue to progress as a coach.
Yeah, well, now those guys haven't reached out to me, and I'm sure that they have some mentors, and I think, my recommendation to those guys would be to get some mentors, and get some former head coaches in the building, some guys and some HBCU former head coaches that can really tell you, hey, this is what to expect at this HBCU, fraternity that we're in and at our schools. And so you kind of know how to navigate. I mean, I knew a lot of it just from talking to, you guys and your brother LC and stuff like that, and just being around the program so much. And then, broadcasting, I'm hearing the same thing from all the different coaches. I know they're not lying. Everybody's saying, if everybody's having the same complaints and the same, things that are good, then I realize that that's probably pretty much across the board. So, and I think that's what coaches have to really, have to understand. Like, hey, man, you're not the first one to do it. So don't make the same mistake that the coach before you made. You know what I'm saying? It would only make sense to reach out to the guys. Hey, man, what were the things that were good, and what were the things that you wished you could have improved, or what helped you to win, or what stopped you from winning at the level that you wanted to win at, et cetera, et cetera. So, but nah, I would be open for a conversation just to,
hey, Coach Cole, you don't remember this?
And so you're not going to be disrespectful the whole week in the media.
You don't remember this? He don't care nothing about no celebrity coaches. He's the guy that said
he ain't
SWAC. I'm SWAC.
Hey, you know what's so funny about that? Why do I feel that Trey Oliver's going to say to D-Jack or Vic, you ain't MEAC? Why do I feel that is coming? Because let's be honest, Trey Oliver and Eddie Robinson got a lot of similarities. These are some tough cats that played in the league, that grew up in this league, that understand, and they're homegrown guys. So I can tell you, Coach, so listen, Coach, if Trey Oliver said that, you tell him he owes you $100. Because I'm telling you, he's going to say it.
He's going to say it, Coach.
Trey Oliver's going to say it. He's going to say it.
He's going to try to beat the brakes off of them, Coach.
Yeah, I talked to Coach Chennis at the convention. I said, man, that MEAC press conference is going to be real interesting this year. That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun to watch all of those guys interact. But I think part of it's going to depend on, how Coach Vic and Coach up at I forgot his name, Delaware State, Jackson. Yeah, DJ. I think it depends on on their attitude. I think if you come in humble and appreciative of the opportunity, then I think people will gonna they'll be open to it. But if you come in thinking, hey, we're gonna teach these guys how to coach, then that's not gonna go too well. So I think. And I think both of those guys are going to be humble about it. They both seem like quality individuals, and I think they have enough HBCU coaches around them to say, man, it's some really, really good coaches in the HBCU ranks. I mean, we played Central, tough physical football team. They played the game like it's supposed to be played. Our quarterback threw an interception, and there was 3 defensive linemen trying to knock him out. So I'm like, hey, that's football. Until they change the rules in the college level, that's what you're supposed to do. In the NFL, you can't do it. But every good defensive coordinator that I had, that's what he told us to do. The first thing you do is go get the quarterback, and they did that. And so, I mean, I love the way they play football. They had a tough running game, and so yeah, they're gonna be a tough team this year. And South Carolina State, Morgan State, all of those guys. So it's gonna be an interesting MEAC year. So
I tell you, those SWAC coaches, Eddie Robinson, Marino Castle, Gunslinger, you guys know my head coach Lionel Taylor, right? You know he's in the Hall of Fame, the NFL Hall of Fame, as the first black offensive coordinator. Man, we would get punished by them schools. Eddie them would try to knock a hole in us, man. They would throw the ball to no seconds on the clock. And I think they got together and said that when he come in here, we gonna crush him, coach. And I remember we had Southern, Stump Mitchell was the coach. And everybody in the conference wanted to beat the brakes off of him, coach. That's SWAC, man.
yeah.
You know, that's SWAC time, coach. You know what that is, Eddie. That's SWAC. You get your best, you're gonna put your best work together against them because it's a challenge, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I mean we know the type of quarterback that Coach Michael Vick was, and so I mean, yeah, if you coaching against them and you probably rooted for him when he was playing, I mean, I think the SWAC it's such a great conference because it really sometimes just goes back to when you're playing in the backyard where one neighborhood playing against the other neighborhood, and you may have a helmet and he might have shoulder pads, he got on cleats, you got on all-stars, and y'all just going out there and going at it and just playing so hard and so passionate. And I think that's what makes the conference so good is that the kids really compete at a super hard level. The players compete at a super hard level, but then the fans. I mean, I think the fans, the SWAC have some trash talking fans. I mean, it's like we go to Southern for our second game. So my first ever game was at Southern, right? And so I grew up rooting for Southern every year in the Bayou Classic, but I had never been to a game at Southern. So as a high school freshman, 18 years old, I'm excited. Like, man, I get to go play at Southern. Man, they was throwing toilet paper out the dorms at us, cussing us out, shaking the bus. I'm like, man, this ain't nothing like the Bayou Classic. So I mean, I'm terrified. I'm like, man, I couldn't get out that stadium fast enough. So I'm like, man, it's not like the Southern fans that I see in New Orleans for the Bayou, but it was just a totally different look. So I'm gonna have my kids mentally prepared to go to the Bluffs. So I'm gonna have some true freshmen, and that's gonna be their first game going to Southern. Like, they better be ready to play, getting off the bus. And I think that's what makes playing in the SWAC just so great. And we go on the road to Jackson State for their homecoming. We go to FAMU, so we got some really tough home games. I mean, road games, and going on the road in the SWAC is tough, man. It's every game you win in the conference is a tough game. You go to Mississippi Valley, you better be ready to play. You're already down 14-0. You get off the bus, you're already losing. You go out there like it's a tie game and they score first, you're not getting out of there with a win. And so I just love the competitiveness of the conference, from the fans, the players, the bands, just the whole aspect of it. It's great.
But you didn't get a chance to pay my man over in Colorado back. So but now you can get Terrell Buckley.
Hey, Coach, I was gonna bring that up, Coach. Hey, this is just something I noticed when I was looking for a flyer to do for the game. I was just looking through a gallery of pictures of you, Coach. And one thing I noticed is that when we met you at the spring game, you guys invited us over to the Hornets nest. You weren't the same guy that refused to hug Dion that day. You were such a nice and gracious host that day. And then today, you come on, you're smiling, you're such a nice man. But Coach, when I was looking for photos, and most of them were game day photos, this is not the guy I see on game day in those photos.
You have to be two different type of people. I got one of my freshmen, kid from South Florida. So I'm telling him, I was like, hey man, I said, Coach is cool, and we laughing and joking. And he came up early in the spring, so he came in January. So ended up playing for us a lot. He'll probably start for us this year. Great kid. And so, just going through the spring, and in the spring, I may give him a little taste of it, but I'm like, look, man, once the season starts, you come back in August, Coach is gonna be a little different type of guy. So once we get into the season, my go-to song in college was Scarface, Ghetto Boys, Mind of a Lunatic, right? That I know it from beginning to end. So I come in there with my little speaker, and I'm like, I'm going insane. I can't be quiet. The mind of a lunatic, consider psychotic. So I'm rapping the whole thing, word for word, cuss words, everything. So the kids like, whoa. I was like, hey man, it's the first week of the college football. So then they're like, man, coach on some different stuff. So what I tell people is that, what it takes to be an NFL linebacker, the type of the mindset, the mentality of like I'm trying to knock you out the game. I'm not trying to tackle you. I'm really trying to hurt you. Like I'm really hoping that you get knocked out the game and get to come back and play next week. That's my goal. I ain't trying to permanently hurt you, but I'm definitely trying to knock you out this game, right? And so for me to have that type of mentality, and I have that same type of mentality as the coach, like I'm trying to intimidate you, dominate you, the whole thing, right? I don't care about you, your fans, your cheerleaders, your president, all of that. I don't like none of y'all. I hate everybody. So, but you cannot have that same mentality every day of the week. So I tell the kids, like, you got to get to that point, like on Friday, getting into Saturday, you become a different person. But then after the game, which is why you see so many incidents in the NFL when guys go out to the club after the game, horrible decision, because the adrenaline and the emotion, I mean, it's like being in a brawl, like, and all of a sudden, bloop is like, stop. And so when I tell them, like, you got 60 minutes to legally do whatever you want to do to another person. And then at 60 minutes and 5 seconds, now it's assault. You got to stop. You know what I'm saying? And so you got to teach the kids how to get to that level, but then come back down. And so it's just, to me, I don't think you can play like football. Is not like tennis or golf where you shake hands and how you doing and all that type stuff. I mean, it's a different mindset. And even with the coaches, I think that's the good part about the convention, because then I can have a relaxed conversation with a TC Taylor. We talk for about an hour at the convention. I can have a relaxed conversation, because when game day comes, it's like, I'm not your friend no more because you're trying to beat me and take my job. That's how I look at it. I take everything personal on game day. So yeah, you got to be a different person on game day. I just don't see how you can walk into the game laughing and joking. That's not me. That don't work for me. So maybe other coaches can do that, but not for me.
Yeah. Let me take you back for a minute, Coach. Again, I'm on this celebrity coaching thing, because what I'm trying to do is put our viewers and, of course, my guys into a mindset. Every pro guy that you've played with, there's a difference between a cerebral professional football player and a guy just out there playing. I know my position. I know what time I'm supposed to get there. And then some of them don't show up on time at all. Some of them are addicts. Some of them are, but when that clock come on, they know they role in their position. So is that true? You've played in the league. You've seen some coaches, players like that. He dumb as a rock. Kind of go through that scenario, because every player, because I want people to understand what's a cerebral player. Because there's some college guys that play, they damn great. Right. But that's all they know is they goddamn position. They don't know, the cleaning person or the trainer or the equipment room. But you go through that, Coach, because you've had that experience on that level. Because you at that level don't mean you know the whole game. Yeah, and like you said, my thing and Greg Williams was like, hey, if you didn't watch film, and Jeff Fisher was the same way, Buddy Ryan, all of those guys, and Buddy's defense was extremely complicated. But if you didn't watch film and you didn't put in the time during the week and learn the playbook to that level, then that means on game day, then you do exactly what the other guy tells you to do. Like, I don't need 11 smart guys. I need about 4 smart guys. I need the not so smart guys to be smart enough to know, listen to the smart guy. Like, don't question me. So I've had some young guys who are rookies. I'm like in year 7 or 8. Like I didn't got this thing figured out. Like I know what I'm doing. And 9 times out of 10, if I tell you that the offense is doing something, I'm right. And if I'm wrong, I'm man enough to go to the sideline and tell the coach that I told you to do it. So the worst thing you could do as a rookie, when a vet who watches film, who's a smart guy, I'm like, hey man, go do this blitz. Why, man? Hey, we ain't got no time for why, partner. Like, look at man, you
you in game 3. You know, I'm in game 103. Like when I tell you to do something, do it. And if you're wrong, I don't mind taking the cover. Like one thing I could say, like a guy like who was a smart player, the freak, Javon Curse. You know, everybody was trying to figure out, you know, and Greg Williams did a great job. Like in college, he was a defensive end, he was a safety, he was a linebacker, he played like 4 different positions, which is why he got the name of freak. And so when he came to us, and Greg Williams was in the first meeting, you know, and we getting into, you know, fall camp. He's like, hey man, you know, freak, whatever your name is. He said, all you're gonna do is put your hand in the air. Put your hand in the dirt and your butt in the air and get the white man with the brown ball. As we ain't gonna make this stuff complicated for you. Just go. Right. And so, but then he ended up having 13 sacks and becoming rookie of the year. But we took all of the guesswork, because when you have an elite player with elite talent, then the worst thing you can do is have a guy out there thinking and trying to figure out what to do. But he was a smart player also. He was able to combine both of that.
We shouldn't give him no head job, huh? We shouldn't give him no head job.
Hey, Coach. Coach, let me break this down for you, Coach. What he want to say, when you have a hyper athletic quarterback and a deep threat as coaches, can those two guys be effective head coaches? That's what I want to say. A hyper athletic quarterback that was known for not being cerebral, but was known for being a human highlight. The Michael Vick experience.
I ain't asking Coach. I'm not asking Coach that. We just
who is known as a deep threat to take the top off the defense, right? Can those guys be effective head coaches? That's what he's asking you, Coach.
Get him, Bishop. No, I'm not. Get him, Bishop.
I got it. So I would say this is, so if you look at the role of the head coach, is and this is how I look at it. All right, and this is what has been working for me. It's not my job to come up with an offensive game plan. It's not my job to come up with a defensive game plan. It's my job to point out when the game plan is not right. And then I got that from Coach Markham. You know, I use my Coach Markham vote and shit. It's their job to coach. It's my job to tell them when it ain't right, and then I'm gonna tell them go fix it. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm looking at my offensive coordinators, I'm like, hey, coach, now, all right, these guys keep coming off the edge. Like, what's the solution to that? You know what I'm saying? And get me the solution before we get into the game. But I'm looking at my punt team, like, all right, man, they keep twisting. They didn't block 2 punts in practice. Like, that don't look right. Let's make sure we get it fixed. I'm paying the coaches to fix that, but it's my job to understand, hey, that don't look right. So as head coaches, I think anybody, including, you know, Vic and Jackson, they got to be able to say, hey, now look here, I've been doing this enough that this concept does not look good, and then you got to be able to tell the coaches that, hey, this is why. You know, and then so you have to know football from that standpoint. Then you have to be able to manage the game and lead men. Like, you got to be able to, you know. I remember my first game, and this is with Coach Gresham, right? So you'll find this funny, Johnny. So we're out there. It probably was the Howard game. It's the first game, so I'm still getting my sea legs under me. You know what I'm saying? Because it's one thing, everybody wants to be a head coach until you're the head coach, right? So everybody looking at you like, hey, give us the speech. What's the pregame speech? All right, let's go. So now everybody's looking at you for the answer. So I was asking Coach Gresham when we get into field goal range, like right around the 30-yard line. So I said, Coach, what we gonna do? He looked at me like, you the coach. You tell me, are we gonna go for it or are we gonna kick the field goal? So I was like,
you forgot.
I said, yeah. That's all. So I had to play. I said, yeah. Let's kick the field goal. But it made me realize, like, okay, this is my decision. And so me and Coach Gresham, we laugh about it now because he was a special teams coordinator. Like, yeah, Coach, you asking me like what to do. Is like, all I do is tell you, we good from 38 yards. It's your decision of do we kick it or not. And so it made me realize real quick, like, okay, Coach, you better have an answer to all the different problems that could happen in the game. And I knew it, but it had to be like, hit me in the back of the head, like, all right, this on you, partner. So I think every head coach, Coach. Yeah. So, Coach, your first head coach, and when you actually the head coach, did you kind of go through that, like, all the decisions are on me now? You know what I'm saying? Do we kick off? Do we receive? Do we everything. You know what I'm saying?
Well, fortunate for me, man, I was able to come behind my brother, man, and kind of watch. I got a little hand up on folks, because he made me a part of some of, I was right there. You know what I'm saying?
With the decision making part of
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah. The decision making, you got to be ready, because they do look at you. Everybody do look back at you and find you like, what we gonna do? You got to be ready. You got to be ready to go. You know what I mean?
And you gotta have a answer with confidence, because everybody's looking at you as the leader. Whether you believe it or not, you got to deliver the message with confidence. And it's I think it's a skill to it. I think it's an experience factor too. And so I think both of those guys are going to have to. I mean, I had to catch up with it quick, and because the season's not waiting for you to figure it out. It's like the games are going.
Your first couple years, you surrounded yourself, with some good guys, You know what I'm saying? But when it came to the football part of it, those good guys, y'all turn, like you say, you turn into another nature when you get ready to go in them six. Everybody does that.
Yep.
And they will eat you up, like you just told me about. When you make that decision, you got to make it confidently. Because if you don't, those guys gonna look at you in a different way.
The coaches are gonna look at you, and I think one of my strong suits is managing the game under adversity. Like I was like that as a player. Like I never panicked. Like I would go to Jeff Fisher. Hey Jeff, we want a timeout right now. So I always thought through the game. As a player, I was always thinking what we got to do to get the ball back. It was end of the half. And it's 45 seconds on the clock run. I'm like, hey, Jeff, timeout. Let's make them punt. You never know. You make them punt, they may snap it over the punter here. So I've always had that thought process as a player. So I think, for new coaches, any new coach, if it's your first time coaching, I think you got to have that thought process of, like if we're in the first quarter, my mind is in the second quarter. If we're in the second quarter, my mind is already thinking about the third quarter. Like I'm already thinking about, okay, who's getting the ball coming out of halftime. So I tell the coaches, like, I am always ahead of the game. I'm in the moment, but I'm always thinking about the what ifs. I have my notepad and I'm writing down, how many, hey coach, how many plays we got? How many, the defense, are we looking tired? Where we at? So I'm always thinking about the what ifs and the scenarios. And so, I mean, it takes time. It's to me, it's the best part and the funnest part of the game. Just the balancing act of it. And that's what makes it fun. Like I would love to beat everybody by 30 points, but to be honest with you, man, coaching a fun, close game where every play and every possession counts and you win, those are the best games. You know what I'm saying? Those tight, close games, but you got to win.
I'm surprised you ain't got an ulcer, because damn, coach, your 4 years, all you play is close games. Coach.
But coach, let me ask Coach Robinson this, because from what I see as a fan watching SWAC football for 5 years now, Coach, one of the areas that a lot of coaches struggle that are no longer here, so I'm not necessarily talking about the coaches that are here, but they struggle with situational football. Why is that I ain't gonna say it's the hardest part, but why is coaches in the SWAC, because that's what I've been watching, why do they struggle with situational football so much?
Well, I think if you don't prepare for it during the week at a high level, and the kids have to be prepared for it, not just the coaches, and you have to make it uncomfortable, and talking with Marvin Lewis about that, he talked about that at the conference we went to, just about like you cannot practice enough situational football. Like the kids, I go through the same drill of how to end the game every week. As our plays, the last 3, last 2, last 1, knock it down. Like every kid can repeat it. That's going to be on the field, because in the heat of the battle, is one thing for me to know it, but the kids have to know it also. If anytime during the year, if I'm watching, like I watch a football game just to see when the situational aspect comes. So if it's a game that's at the end of the 2 minutes or after the end of the half, I'm gonna sit there and watch it. But it's a practice rep for me, because I'm thinking, what would I do as a coach in this situation? Would I call a timeout? Would I not? I'm gonna watch the Commanders in the UFL league. I forgot the name. Is it UFL? That's the name of it.
Yep.
Not the UFL. Yeah, I'm gonna watch those UFL games, not for the game, but I'm watching it as a coach because I'm trying to get a practice rep. I'm trying to get a mental rep of what I would do in that situation. So to me, I think it's just you got to practice it more, and you got to be the coolest guy in the building. You cannot panic. If you notice me, it's very seldom that I jump up in the air after play. Like I get excited when the score is at 0 and we have won the game. Like I can't get excited over a touchdown or interceptions or turnovers. Yeah, man, I'll show emotion, but I'm not going to be around here jumping up and down. That's just not me because I'm always thinking of what's next. Now, will it be an onside kick? It's always a situational aspect of it, but we practice it. I would hope to say we practice more than anybody else in the conference, but I know our whole practice is set up around situational football, whether it's backed up. I remember the first year when we had Davis was at quarterback, and we had a situation where we would always practice our backed up plays, and then a couple of weeks we would do it in camp, and we got really good at it. You know, first game of the year against Howard, we had a 99-yard drive, and the kids came into the huddle. Man, coach, we practiced it. We practiced backed up. We know what to do. So now the kids go out there with confidence. We get a 99-yard drive. So as a coach, hey man, we're good at it. So we didn't practice it a couple of weeks. Come back towards the end of the year, I think week 8 or 9. We played FAMU. We backed up on our -5-yard line. Quarterback looks, bam, we take a safety. But you know what? We hadn't practiced it in 3 weeks. So is that the kid fault or the coach fault? So now, you know what? I practice situational football backed up every week. We would never go a week without practicing. So some of it is just from the experience aspect of messing it up and then hopefully getting it right the next time. So, yeah, well, maybe the kids will make a mistake, but it won't be because we haven't practiced it numerous times. So I think it's just the repetition aspect of it and realizing how important that is. Like we practice taking a safety every week. You never – like it's some things in football that may happen once every 3 years. What's that?
Coach Cole finna get sensitive. He think you taking a shot at him. Because TSU lost a game last year because they didn't take a safety. It hurt it. They lost to their rival. I mean, they lost to something.
I missed that one. So that was an anonymous player. That wasn't intentional. So, but
well, let me go back. They own the 10-yard line. It's 4th down. All right. It's 45 seconds left on the clock, and they had to punt it. So instead of, and they were up
7.
They was up 7.
And I think it was 20 seconds, Coach.
Yeah, was it 20? I know the clock was eating up. So instead of just taking the 2 point and then go get out and then kick the ball down to them, and now they got to go 80, they tried to punt it. And of course, he got blocked.
Now he missed the ball.
Yeah, but they got it on the 10-yard line, got blocked. And they recovered it on the 10-yard line going in. And they went on to tie the game and then beat us in overtime. You know, so that was tough.
But I'm gonna tell you, so the things that I practice the most in situational football, and I tell the kids, it's because I have lost the game because of that. And some of those things, you got to burn your hand on that stove to get it. It's like trust me, when you lose a game because of a Hail Mary or a tip pass or because of a penalty, I've lost a game in the NFL where we stop them on the 4th down sack and we get a roughing the passer. They get a 15-yard penalty, kick a field goal and win the game. Man, that hurts you forever. You never forget that. And so I pray that my team is never in that situation where we lose a game because of that type of situation. So they we rehearse that. Like how do you end a 2-minute drive? You get a sack. How do you lose in 2 minutes? By giving the penalty, by letting them get first. Penalties is like fouling and they getting free throws. Like they moving the ball and the clock's not moving. So it's certain things that you cannot do in football.
Coach, please don't tell me you was on that team in 1994 that lost in Buffalo. Please don't tell me you was on that team.
I was on that team, but it was 92.
It was 92.
Yeah.
That's my rookie year.
Yeah. Put this one in your crawl, man. Always know where the best side, the best hash that your kicker can kick the field goal. And we were playing Tennessee State, and the kid kept on saying, I want it on the left hash. And this is what working with your brother. He said, no. Put my man and let him flare out to the right side, and let's just throw it to him and let him do his thing. So we did that, and now we on the right hash, and the damn kicker missed the damn ball, a damn foot to the right of the damn goalpost. And we could have went like 10-1 that year. But so now the first thing, of course, Eddie, you're gonna be thinking in your mind. I'm gonna tell you, like my man on Ricky Smiley, when he be playing that music all the time, it's gonna be in your mind all night long. So now you're gonna remember this. You're gonna be like, hey, what's that? The kicker kicked him. What's his best hash mark? So you're gonna remember it.
But it's funny you say that, because Buddy Ryan, he would always tell us, he used to coach with the Vikings, right? And when they would run the trap play, he would, you got to play inside the trap play. The linebacker can't play on the outside. You're going to get us beat. And I was like, why is he so emphatic about this? Well, the reason why, he was coaching linebackers for the Minnesota Vikings when Tony Dorsett went 99 yards because the linebacker did not play inside the trap. So he gave up the longest run in NFL history because what the linebacker didn't do. So for him, that's something that was sentimental. If you did that as a linebacker, you might get cut. Like the same thing. There's a lot of things you could do, but do not play outside the trap when they come in with the trap plays. It's just certain things as a coach, when it happened to you, you're like, you know what? I might lose a lot more games, but I will not lose because of that again. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's just experience, man. Losing games, people don't understand. The casual fans, they jump on the coaches for losing the game. Trust me, no one feels the pain of losing the game more than the coach, because you spend the whole night, the bus, the plane, the next morning on my bicycle trying to think, what was the one thing I could have done different for us to win that game? So that's just a part of it. But when you win, of course, you move on and you don't think about all the what ifs, but I look at it and I tell the kids, hey man, what should have happened. And so if you have any other thought behind that, then you're gonna keep going through that game. I know we lost to Grambling. It was a kick. A lot of things happened in the game, but at the end of the day, it came down to a kick. Man, it was that, man. When I tell you, it was so hard to get over that game, because it's just man, that game was so hard. I'm middle of the week on Thursday, and I'm still thinking about that game.
Yeah, when you lose one,
Coach, you were on your fourth-string quarterback, weren't you?
Yeah, but still, that's one that we
should have been in the game, Coach.
Nah, we don't think like that as coaches. And the fans don't think. It got to the point where, we moved in Key. I mean, he saved the season. I love that kid. And we moved him. He was legitimately a wide receiver up to week 3. So, I mean, he was learning the offense. Then he was a walk-on. He wasn't there for the summer. So he didn't come to the beginning of training camp. So you think about a kid that didn't go through spring, summer, fall, nothing. I mean, he's learning the offense because he's a slot receiver. But then all of a sudden he moves to quarterback. And then the fans start thinking like, hey, man, they won the Mad City Classic. Yeah, they beat Alcorn. Man, we ought to win the SWAC. I'm like, hey, man, this kid is still learning the offense. Like, people forget. So the expectations went right back up there. Man, how y'all lose to Jackson State? I'm like, bruh, it's like, just be glad that we where we at. And as a coach, I had the same mentality. Like, I told the coaches, like, we not making any excuses from last year. If we make a field goal against Grambling, we down by 4 with the ball against Jackson State, we give up a safety. So we had our chances to win the conference. I'm like, next year can't be any excuses. Like, we have to push the ball. I don't care what happens. I don't care if I'm not there. Whatever happens, like the deed has to be done. And I think that's the mindset you have to have. You got to have a championship mindset. Like, whatever adversity comes your way, we're gonna overcome it and we're gonna complete it and complete the mission. And that's the only way you could. To me, that's the only way you can have a championship season, because there's going to be some adversity, some bad stuff going to happen. I mean, hopefully it won't be as bad as what happened last year, but if something like that happens, then we just need to figure it out. That's how life works.
Hey, Coach, let me jump in here, because you actually led into something that I think, Coach, you've had a target on your back for the last couple of years of people who won this sense. So you're in the same division with the last 2 HBCU national champions. You played them tough. Play FAMU tough. You've beaten Jack State. Jack State's beaten you. But to your fan base, because everybody felt that, you know, everything was going to come together. You know, TC is new. We had a new coach. You guys were bringing in the quarterback. Everything was lined up for you all to ascend next step. What do you tell your fan base, and what is your expectation for this year? Because now Jack State defending national champion, like they're going to be reloaded, FAMU's reloaded, and you guys are reloaded. So you know who you got to beat, as you know, to get to where you're trying to get to. So to your fans and the things that you're thinking about, and also, and I'm going to say this as a side note, there's a new coach that's down in Alabama A&M that kind of has a similar mentality that I know you know, Coach Sam. Say you were all around the same age, same era. So what do you think about going into this year to your fan base who says, hey, Jackson State has won a HBCU national championship. FAMU has won one. Now it's our time. What is your mindset going into this year about that?
I think you just ended with the motto, "It's our time." You know what I'm saying? So that's just it. So if you look at the inside our stadium, that's what it says. It's our time. President Ross said that to the team last year. You know what I'm saying? It's our time. And I think that's the mentality that we put in the mindset of the players. Like, we just have to have that the mindset that it's like a no-fail mission. Like, regardless of what may happen, let's get the job done. And so the fans have been they've been there for us. They've cheered for us. I mean, they've exulted in the victories, and they felt the defeats. And so we've kind of been through the adversity aspect of it. And so what I tell people is, like, if you're climbing Mount Everest, you know, and I do a lot of hiking and all that stuff. I never want to climb Mount Everest. That's not on my wish list. So, but you know, the first thousands of feet, you know, is here. You're ice climbing and stuff like that. But then, you know, when you get to the last part, you know, the last couple hundred feet, then it's the kill zone. And in the kill zone, you got to have oxygen. And they call it the kill zone because it's the hardest part. And to get to the championship level, like, you can have a really good team, but it's the difference between a good team and a championship team. Like, to be a championship team, that last bit is the hardest part. And I feel like that we're right there, but I'm telling that to the players. Say, this is the hardest part. Like, you have to go every day to say, win today. Are we working hard enough? I just had that message to the team. Are we working at a championship level? And they're like, yeah, coach, maybe. We don't know, is the honest answer, because I don't know what they're doing in Jackson. I don't know what they're doing down in Tallahassee. I don't know what they're doing up in Huntsville. I don't know what they're doing in Itabena. So I don't know what they're doing in Daytona. So it's like, you got to have a paranoia about it, that I'm not working hard enough. And that's how I was as a player. And I want the team to have that same mindset, that you got to work at such a level that you're always fearful that you're not working hard enough to reach your goal. And I think if we have that type of mindset of, and it's not a desperation type mindset, but it's just a mindset of that we're going to make sure that we outwork everybody else that we may have to play. And your mentality has to be that I've outworked you. So then, you know, nothing's guaranteed, but I know that I've earned the right to win this game. Then you have to go out there and win it. Ultimately, you got to prove it on the field. So, man, I'm looking forward to the season. But like you said, some great matchups. And then with Coach Shade coming to A&M, like you said, he was coached by Greg Williams. He's in the same mentality I am. Defensive guy, safety, downhill, smart player, cerebral player. So, you know, he's going to have that program moving in the right direction. And it's the Madison City Classic. You know,
So Coach, that game is going to be 9-6. Y'all favorite in. That's what
Coach. Bishop, you gave him too many points. It's going to be 2-3. 2-3 in the field goal.
2-3, and they're gonna be mad about that. Now, Coach, one last thing, and then I'll let you go on my end.
The over under of that game might be 10. So we got to see.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna put some money down there because your AD still owe me a bottle of liquor from y'all homecoming. So I'm gonna put that down on that, but I'm gonna put on y'all side on this one. Coach, I wanted to do one last thing, and I think this is so important in this era: NIL, the transfer portal. And being at a HBCU, where you and I both, and everybody here that's listening knows how great the experience is of just going to a school. You knew what it is. How do you try to sell that in this NIL? When you're looking in a portal, or you've been talking to these high school kids, because now I even hear the high school kids, hey, well, coach, I'm gonna get it if you give me $1,000. How do you say, hey, listen, we do have, because I don't know exactly what you guys do on a collective, but I'll let you speak on that. But what do you sell to these guys? First of all, your portal discussion, and then to the kids in high school about why it's so great to be part of Alabama State University.
Well, and I put it like this: I won't even say just Alabama State University. I think all the HBCUs. And you know, one thing, Coach Dewey, I don't know if Johnny, you may remember Coach Dewey. He was a coach that used to be at John McDonough in New Orleans, and he coached at Southern. So I remember me coming out of high school. You know, my dad worked at the Superdome, and I told the story a couple of times. You may have heard it. So, you know, I'm sitting there at the Sugar Bowl Classic, the basketball game, watching Southern play, and I'm telling them that I'm trying to get recruited, but not really getting recruited, and I want to walk on somewhere, and And so I was accepted to Jackson State, accepted to Alabama State. Fam had scholarship, you know, academic, et cetera. So he's like, well, he said, well, young man, you know, you seem like you got things figured out, and you're gonna be a good college player. He said, I'm gonna give you some advice. I was like, yes, sir, coach. What's that? He said, whatever you do, stay SWAC and stay black. So I was like, and so I don't know why at 18 years old, I'm like, man, stay SWAC and stay black. I need to go to a black school in the SWAC. And then what happened that year, Doug Williams had, well, I think Doug Williams had won it was either Doug and then Jerry Rice. They had won back-to-back MVPs in the Super Bowl. And so I was like, man, both of those guys.
88, that's right. Yeah.
Exactly. Both of those guys played in the SWAC. And then I'm like, man, I've been to the Bayou Classic all these years. So in my mind, I was like, I'm going to go to a SWAC school. But it was because it was Coach Dewey said. So I think what I tell kids, and I tell kids I'm recruiting to, hey, I want you to come to Alabama State. If worst case scenario, stay SWAC and stay black. If you go to a SWAC school or go to an HBCU, and I think what happens, what people don't realize, if you go to a school in Ohio, in Kansas, Michigan, whatever, yeah, you go there for 4 years. All right, you leave, you go back home. Do you go back to homecoming? Do you participate in the university the other way? Probably not. But if you go to an HBCU, whether it's FAM, you know, Jackson, Bethune-Cookman, Texas Southern, Prairie View, I promise you, you're going to go back to the homecoming, you're going to go back to the classics, and you probably are going to go back to the other HBCU classics and homecomings because you understand the family tradition of it that we're building here. So I tell people, if I have Jackson State playing at Southern and it's Southern's homecoming on a Saturday night, and I got Georgia playing at LSU, I'm going to the Southern game because to me, it's going to give me everything I want in the football game, from the culture, the fan experience, the football, the band, the people, the whole atmosphere. I'm going to feel welcomed. I'm going to feel a part of it. And it's what I know. You know what I'm saying? So, and no disrespect to the LSU game. I'm sure that's going to be a great ball game. But at the same time, let me be around my folks at Southern playing Jackson State. And I have the beauty of having broadcasted games for ESPN. Like I've done the Florida Classic. I've done the Jackson State's homecoming. I've done Jackson and Alcorn. So I did the Hampton and Norfolk, the Battle of the Pay. I've broadcasted all of these games. You know, my son went to A&T. I've been to the GHO. So trust me, man, the HBCU experience is a beautiful experience. And once you get part of the HBCU family, not just your school family, I mean, you're going to find your way to the different homecomings, and you're going to have the competition of which one's the best, what's the biggest classic, et cetera, et cetera. So to me, I just love being a part of it. Like I'm happy in the space, and I think we're in a great space, not just as the SWAC, but just all the HBCUs, in my opinion.
Right. Coach, man, boy, we're going to end it right there, man. I know you just coming off the road. You went to the Vegas. Did you get a chance to stop in New Orleans to the Legacy Bowl?
No, I'm headed to the Legacy Bowl tomorrow.
Okay.
I think we have 6 players playing in the game. So wishing those guys, yeah.
Who's those 6 guys? Coach, if you could name them right off, just so we can root for them. Who do you know? Can you name them right off?
Yeah, I have my 2 linebackers, Rico Dozier, and also DeMarcus Cunningham, 2 all-conference guys. I have Edmund Scarborough, that's my safety. James Burgess, who was the Aeneas Williams Award winner, the first national award we've had in quite some time. So that was big for him. And also Traquan Thomas, who led all the FCS and sacks. And then my offensive center really is done, who was a 4-year starter, 2 years at Bethune-Cookman, 2 years with us, a 2-time all-conference guy. So wishing all those guys the best of luck. It's something that I hope that they continue, because it's just a great experience. And it's something that I used to recruit with. I tell guys, hey, man, you get a chance to play in the Legacy Bowl with all of the NFL scouts there. That's something that is not too many people that get to go to the combine. You know, so you gotta earn your way to the combine. And so, but this is a chance for others, for another chance for scouts to see you and to compete. And so that's something that coming to HBCU have that. And you know, and Doug Williams and Shaq Harris have been doing a great job pushing that agenda of giving us an extra chance to be seen by the NFL scouts.
You know who coaching that game? I think, did they say Sam Shea is coaching it?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I was talking to TC Taylor in Vegas, so it's the SWAC and the SIAC champion coach on the same team. They're on the Robinson team, so you got Sam Shea and TC coach on the same team. So both of them like, hey man, you go and run your offense. Nah, you run your offense because they got so I said, yeah, y'all figure that out. I'll be watching both of y'all. So.
I love it.
Well, good, man. Appreciate you, Coach, always coming on the show, man. And hopefully some of your recruits were able to see the show and, tell their buddies, their name was up in lights. I don't know what we're gonna do this spring, but you know when the spring game is, Coach?
Yes, sir. April 5th. So you're welcome to come back. Just let us know what how you set up on the rooftop.
Hey, I know, man. Y'all treat us like kings, man. Y'all treat us like kings, and I appreciate it. That's of course, that's my home down in Montgomery.
Yeah.
Coach, is it gonna be like a game day experience like it was last year? Because last year it was nothing short of a game day experience, from the tailgate with the RVs to how they had the I guess the midway set up for the kids and all of that, and then you had a tremendous turnout by the fans, and it was a sensational display of football as well. So are y'all gonna have that same game day experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Last year was really good because the Orange Blossom Classic, they did a lot for us. We was playing in that game, so they came down and did a big part of it. But yeah, we'll definitely have that going. It's going to be the ASU Connection Day, so that's when we have all of the juniors, not just football juniors, but just juniors in general and seniors that are coming back, trying to recruit students to come to Alabama State. So you'll have that connection of it. So it'll be a really good weekend. I think we kind of partnered all together and kind of put it around that spring game. But we're looking forward to it. It's a good chance for the fans to come out and to see a lot of the new players with the portal kids. And so I think the spring game has a little bit more excitement than usual, just on all college campuses, because everybody's trying to see, what new players have come, and the teams change over so much year to year. So we're looking forward to it. And the kids are going to go out there and compete, and just the first chance to see them in a real live game experience.
Wait a minute. Now, Coach, you just opened up something. I got one last question for you. The Coach Rule up in Nebraska, I'm not going to have a spring game. People are watching my players. They're going to steal my guys. You as a coach, now I know you guys are going to have spring game, but when you heard and you started to hear, well, now maybe people are not going to have spring, what is your thought about that, Coach? Because I thought that was just ironic, because if the kid is going to leave, he's going to leave no matter what, if you're playing or not. And I just thought that was because the spring game, especially at a place like Nebraska, but even no matter what, spring games are a big deal for just the school to bring the alumni in to raise money, to get enthusiasm for next year. What did you think about that, Coach?
Well, they don't have a problem raising money, but go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, well, for me, I think you have to, just the reality of it, you have to be aware of that. But I think ultimately you have to develop relationships with the kids. Now, relationships only last as much as the dollars go by too. Because kids, Coach, I love you, man, but hey, man, so from the money standpoint, the relationship will deteriorate really fast when the dollar starts to increase. So we all understand that. I mean, I can see where he's going with it, because if you have a kid that's looking like he's at the next level, for me, spring is, to be honest with you, I'm trying to find I don't need the all-conference guys to go out there and play in the spring as much as I need the young guys to show me that they're stepping up to the next level. So I'm using spring more for the younger guys to step up. Now, yeah, some of my older guys, they'll get a rep or two. So I think if I was the coach and I was really concerned about that, then just don't play the old guys so much. Give them a series and take them out. But really, it's supposed to be for the young guys to get 20 and 30 plays, so I can see, what's the breaking point of this kid? Can I trust him in the game environment in the fall based on what he did in the spring? So I think if you look at it like that, you can still have the spring game. And then hopefully, I mean, it's the posting the rosters is just part of it. It's supposed to be no tampering. But when the kid, it's just like the NFL. Hey, no tampering, but a guy gets into free agency and the first day he signs a super complicated contract. Well, obviously they were working on that before 6 a.m., right? It was signed at 8. So the same thing with this, when the portal opens up April 30th, and all of a sudden the kid gets into the portal and signs the same day. Well, he didn't make that decision in one day, right? So it's kind of that nobody's tampering, but then these kids are jumping in the portal and switching really quick, and that's just an unfortunate part of college football. So.
You know, Coach, part of, and I'll just say this for you, Coach, part of your pitch has to be that if you come to Alabama State and develop, you can have an opportunity to go somewhere else, right? I think for those schools, you know, they're what they're doing is then saying that they're at the top of the food chain, right? And there is no better place to go. But I also think there's also a part of it, Coach, where if the player doesn't get exposure, he loses opportunities. And I'm not talking about the starters. I'm not talking about the guys I'm talking about your graduate guys. I'm talking about guys that may be out there that can't play at Nebraska, that they want opportunities elsewhere. So I don't know, Coach. I think being fair to the kid is giving him every opportunity to be the best player he can be. He's only going to be 18 to 23 one time. And if there's opportunity for him to make money or have the best experience possible, I think, in my opinion, coaches owe that to him. And because anytime a coach gets an opportunity to go make some more bread, they generally take that opportunity. So that's just my 2 cents, Coach.
But I don't think I would say that. I don't think there's no top of the food chain because
really,
you know, there is no top because the money. I mean, you can be at Michigan, and then you know Ohio State or Florida can offer you more. So what's the top? Like the
okay, that's a great point.
The quarterback at Georgia, like you at Georgia, like what don't you have as an athlete at Georgia? And then you still get in the portal and go to Miami. So what's the top?
Yeah, you got a great point, Coach.
Every school has a player that they didn't want to leave who left. So there is no top. So I think, and people say, well, the HBCUs, you're a JUCO, blah, blah, blah. Well, you look at the schools in the Sun Belt. If you look at their top players who are all conference, what do? They leave and go to the SEC. If you look at the SEC, their top player, they leave from one SEC school. You know, the running back from Ole Miss left and went to Ohio State. So what's the top? There's no top. Like every team. So when people say, everybody's leaving the HBCUs, no, everybody's leaving every school. We all have the same issue. So there's no top.
That's a great point, Coach. Great point.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks for answering that. Because like a lot of people want, you know, it's good to hear your coach's perspective on our level when that, because I know you guys are facing those challenges and things like that. And what I hope is that sometimes, as they say, you know, you let the tail, you know, wag the dog. And I don't want that to permeate down to HBCUs where we're reacting to something because, like I say, spring game, and like I say, you guys had a tremendous one. I would hate for it all of a sudden become a band competition and you out there doing flag football because Eddie Ross ain't no flag football player.
Well, I would say this. Now we're not going to televise the spring game live and show it to, you know, and let every you know, and let every other program, you know, analyze the roster on the videotape. Now we won't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, you made that clear last year.
Right. So it won't, you know, it won't be, you know, live on the network now. And I think that does not make sense. You know, to televise your spring game to everybody, I think you got to have some control over it. Now, but at the same token, I can't stop a coach from another school coming there to watch a player. You know, so it's you know, it is what it is. You just, you know.
Lastly, Coach, how you rank your recruiting class from time you set foot or seat to today? How we rank this community? This recruiting class? Man,
I think this class has a lot of potential when I look at, and it's all potential, but if I look at the amount of defensive linemen that we've signed, I think they can play. The defensive guys, I think, can really help us out. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they can play right away. The two offensive linemen, I feel like that one of them can play now. And so I think, you know, if they develop into what we think they're going to be, then I think this could be one of the best classes that we've had. The first year was kind of rushed. The second year was a little bit better. And I'm just looking at from the number of guys that have stepped up and actually played. Last year was good because we had like 3 freshmen who actually played. We've been doing a good job of redshirting a lot of the freshmen. but we had one kid who was a Master League Classic MVP and Tayshawn Sims. And so that was really big. Another defensive lineman that played. He ain't gonna get hurt, but then a whole squad running backs. So we had 3 guys who contributed like in a major way. Unfortunately, 2 and my quarterback, 3 of them got injured, but they were all guys that contributed. So if you can get, I think 5 to 7 guys who are freshmen who can contribute, that means to me you've had a really good recruiting class. And then my transfer portal kids last year were good. You know, Rico Dozier came in and was an all-conference player, and so I think we have some transfer portal kids who can come in this year and contribute right away. And I mean, like to the all conference level. And if you get the combination of both of those, then you have something. But I mean, I think recruiting classes are just like draft picks. You know, you know what they're potential. You know, coach, you know, potential mean you ain't done it yet. So we got to see if they're gonna come here and do it. But the expectation is that they will be better. I think we have the potential to be better than what we were last year with the guys that we brought in.
Appreciate you, Coach. Like I said again, man. Thank you. Anything else, guys? We're going to let you get on out of here, Coach.
All right. I appreciate it, man.
You be careful on that road now.
Yeah, the time goes by quick, but I do appreciate you guys giving us the opportunity as HBCU coaches. You got a great platform, so whenever y'all need me, just let me know.
Yeah, talk to Terrence Graves for me.
The T. Graves hasn't been on yet?
Hey, Coach, this what happened, Coach. Now, Coach, if I told you, Coach, that you've been the second best coach in the East, what would you say? Is that a compliment?
I don't think nobody want to be the second best at anything.
I mean, but the fact of the matter is, you finished second a couple of times, coaching the East.
Yeah, so hey, in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. So yeah.
Well, T. Graves didn't like the bet. Hey, T. Graves didn't like the fact that we referred to him as the best of the worst.
No, not we. No, not we. That guy. Not we. See, Coach, I don't play that game. I have to travel these streets too much, and I ain't trying to get my Escalade on no bricks. No, that guy said that.
No. Yeah, that's average. You know, nobody wants to be average. That's what I tell my kids. Average means you're the best of the worst. So yeah, you got to choose a better choice of words if you want people to come on your show, man.
Yeah.
So okay, Coach, I'll take that under advisement, Coach. What's a great way we could say that you were the best of a conference, of a division that had won the SWAC since the 5 years I've been watching?
Coach was the second of the best.
No, I'm just saying, what do you call that, Coach? Coach, there was everybody in the division was either first year coach, right? And you understand what I'm saying, Coach? I didn't do it to insult him in any way, Coach. I was just saying all those guys were first year coaches. They all were essentially taking over struggling programs, and Terrence Graves came out that side of it. That was the fact. Now, I wasn't trying to insult him in any way, and I don't think Coach Cole was trying to insult him, but it was just a matter of the fact that side has not won the SWAC since I've been watching.
Yeah, but it kind of comes and goes, and it's just that the teams that are on the East are kind of going at it. But if you look at Grambling beat Jackson State and Alabama State, so go figure. It's football. I think East or West, any SWAC school you play any week can beat you. Valley went on the road and beat FAMU. So it's like, if you go into it thinking,
oh man,
I got a SWAC game and it's an easy one, then man, all right, it's easy if you want to. So to me, every person, and we play Southern this year, which doesn't count as a SWAC game, but that's gonna be a huge game for us. And I think any of the 12 teams can beat any of the other teams. So I don't really think it's where the East has been winning the last couple of years, but I don't think it's where the teams in the East are dominating the teams in the West. If you look at it, I mean, the teams in the West are winning also. I think we lost to Grambling in the West, and I think we beat Alcorn, and I forgot the other team we played. So, but still, it's all tough matchups. I don't think it's to me, people may say, yeah, the East is a whole lot better, or if you rank them 1 to 12. But if you look at the way the teams play each other, it's competition all down the road, up and down, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, Coach, we're going to let you
Coach,
go. We're digging a bad grade.
Coach,
right
you're
here.
very gracious in your description of what's going on, and I appreciate it, Coach. But the fact of the matter is the class of the conference has been in the East, and that's all. That's the only point I was really trying to make, is that those are the real contenders for right now in recent history have all come from the East. I mean, and so that was my point. So sorry, but right. I didn't mean to insult anybody.
Good night, Coach. Thanks a lot.
Know what they call that? Clean up on aisle 6. That's the cleanup. You gotta clean that up, man.
Bruh.
You gotta clean that up.
Hey, we gotta send him an email or something, Coach. Some flowers over there or something.
Do he smoke cigars?
Cigars? Maybe we can do that, Coach.
We're really nice guys, Coach. If you see him, tell him we're really nice guys over here, and we really would like to have him talk about his thing.
I'll deliver the message. I'll be driving through on my way to New Orleans, so I might stop by the Bluff and deliver the message. And
thank you.
Sometimes I feel like I'm Stephen A. Smith, man. Sometimes I gotta tell the truth, and the truth hurts sometimes. All right.
Thank you, Coach. Have a good night. Let go. Oh my God. Please.
Coach, hopefully you ain't got to get up early in the morning. Hopefully you get the chance to sleep in.
This is a great show, but it was a weird wrap up. Now I've been on a lot of
stuff. Me and you had the thing going. You know what I'm saying? It was perfect. And then, you set it up. I did the set, Coach. I know what I'm doing here. You see what I'm saying? And I set it up perfectly. It was supposed to be thank you, good night, and then these guys here, man.
Hey, thanks for coming out. God bless and good night.
All right, thank you, Coach, man. We certainly appreciate it.
Hit you with the Russell Simmons.
I'm trying.
Hey, man, Coach was a blast, man. Coach was a blast.
Oh, yeah. It was a good show. Good show, man.
And see, I got to say this, too. I got to say this. Because more people have access to me than you guys, good, bad, and different. And I'm the one that get the text at night. I'm the one that get the Facebooks. I'm the one that gets the Twitters. See, because of you two guys. See, you two guys cause my life utter hell. See, I'm one of the people that get hurt by guilt by association. I'm a good guy, but because I'm associated with Jews, wisecrackers and stuff like that.
How are you saying that? How do you mean that word? My Jackson State people text me and say, man, this guy, listen, man. Y'all gotta and I'm gonna see the Jackson State people I like Jackson State. Coach Taylor, I like Coach Taylor. I'm glad that he's successful.
My Southern people, my cousins with the Southern, they be like, man, why y'all, man, we won the West. What more do you want? I Southern people, listen, y'all know I try. I try every time to get us out of here clean, and these guys will never let us do it. They never let us do it. They always got
No. It's all love over here, man. But let me just say this, Coach. That was another great interview by Coach Robinson, man. It was a tremendous interview. He gave us way more time than we asked for, and I want to thank him for that, man. Coach Campbell, I'm sorry. If you get associated with Coach Cole, I can't nothing.
Hey man, I'm here just to keep it. Hey man, I'm just here to
keep us on the rails, man.
Keep us on the rails, man. Because see, here's what happens all the time. I get a text message. See, that's the reason why Coach Grave ain't never coming on. That's why he ain't never come on, Steve. I try to hook your boy up, but why he never come. I get that text all the time. Hey man, I'm trying to get, Deshaun Jackson on here. So every time y'all go there, man, my boy in LA is watching the thing. He's like, man, I don't know, DJ gonna come on there with y'all. I said, come on, man. I said, man, hey man, but it's all. I'm just teasing you guys, Coach. We appreciate it because it's your access that allows these coaches.
Absolutely.
To be able to talk about their programs, to talk about the play. That's what I'm saying, to talk about the players, the program, the things that they're going through. And only on HBCU Coaches Corner, we're able to do that. I mean, we might not ever be able to do it with Southern, but for the rest of the other schools, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Coach, I think you can, You can call old Groove up. You can call old Groove up, Coach. And get
I'm gonna call him, Coach. Look, I meant no intentions of degrading nobody, and a lot of times if I'm saying something, I wouldn't mind somebody saying it to me. You know what I'm saying? So you know, man, look, hey, I'll reach out.
And one of your good friends in the world, Coach, is on this coaching staff, so he know you don't mean nothing by it.
He got several coaches on the staff that I'm very close to, several. You know, so it's good. It's all good, Coach. Well, man, look, hey, it's time to tie it out at the end of the rope and hold on tight. Because ain't nobody bad like us, right, Coach?
You got it, man. We out of here.
Hey,
thanks, guys.
Let me